3 months ago, a native son returned home to take over the helm of one of the most storied football programs in the history of the state of Arkansas. And tonight in Little Rock, Class 3A Junction City, winners of the 6-3A, led by first-year head coach Stephen Jones, find themselves in War Memorial Stadium for the 8th time in program history. Standing in their way, the Rivercrest Colts, 12-2 on the year, outright champions of the 3-3A. And tonight in Little Rock, we've got all the action for you from start to finish here exclusively on the Dragon Sports Network. Good evening and welcome into tonight's broadcast, the 2017 Class 3A State Football Championship. I'm Jacob Pumphrey, and joining me to my left is a man well versed in the history of Dragon football, has made his plenty of trips into Little Rock for the state championship games, and that's my man Wayne Pumphrey. Wayne, I tell you what, if you can't get excited about tonight, if you can't get that blood going, if you just can't, I'll tell you this, if a tear doesn't even come into your eye, you might need to check your pulse. Something's wrong with you.
Oh, you definitely need to go make your doctor visit Monday if you don't get fired up tonight about this. I mean, the only thing I can think of coming up here today is 15 years ago when we made the first trip up here. If somebody said, y'all going to make about 7 more trips to this place, I wouldn't have believed it. And it does not get old. The excitement's still there. You watch the fans come in. Talking to Coach Meeks a while ago, who will be on the sideline tonight. We're going to give him a break tonight, let him have the night off. He's fired up, he's ready, and this is a guy that's been here for all of them. And it makes it even more exciting when you got, like you said, a native son coming back, Coach Jones, a chance to finish his first season undefeated with a state title. I mean, you cannot ask for more than that.
And we are just at the 20-minute mark until kickoff. Again, Junction City and Rivercrest, the final 2 teams standing in Class 3A. And it's kind of ironic. This is a rematch from the 2016 state playoffs when Junction City traveled to Wilson, Arkansas, took on the Colts in the Cotton Patch. That was in the second round. Of course, Rivercrest came away victorious 14-13 in a game that featured just 223 total yards of offense. But I tell you what, tonight, Wayne, we've got great conditions. There's not much of a wind. It's cold down there on the field. Perfect night for football.
Well, I mean, like you said, it's a perfect conditions tonight to play some ball. Last time these two met, they said the white perch where you could catch them real good between the 20 and 35 yard lines on the I believe north end of the Cotton Patch. It was a night made for swimming. It was nothing but water on the field. Remember, if you folks remember, we went on the air early just to show them the condition of the field, and despite all that, I mean, Rivercrest had to play in it too, just like Junction did. The Dragons coulda, woulda, shoulda won. And if you remember, Jacob, you were telling me about you had a couple of people tell you after the game from Rivercrest, and man, if these two could have played on a perfect field, it had been a really interesting game. Well, guess what? It's the state finals, and as you can see, the field is perfect.
You're definitely right about that. It doesn't get much more perfect than War Memorial Stadium on a very cold Friday night in Little Rock, Arkansas. And I tell you what, if you find yourself in the stadium with the jersey on rooting for a team in early December, you know you're playing for something big. It's kind of ironic that we sit here and talk about this. Rivercrest, they're ticketed for 4A. This is their final game in 3A. And, of course, Junction City dropping back down to 2A. And so when you think of that, this is a 3A finale for both teams.
Yes, I mean, next year there will be a new 3A champion. And it's kind of crazy when you say that. But, yes, whoever wins tonight be their last trip in 3A for a while. And we're going to step away for a minute, folks. They are going to do the national anthem. And that was the national anthem. We are back with you now. Jacob, we was talking about Rivercrest and Junction last time they played, and being up here at this time of the year, your football program is doing something right. And this Junction City team all season, I mean, we're looking at some numbers here we're fixing to tell folks about, has done several things right.
Yeah, I think when you're thinking about what Junction's been able to do this season, it's special, especially when you think about it being under first-year head coach Stephen Jones. To say that this offense, this team in general, bought into what he brought to the table here in the early going, I think would be a dire understatement. Listen to some of this. Hashima Taylor, 2,400 yards on the ground, 28 touchdowns, and definitely plays a key part in the offense. And then you look over on the other side, and you can't just key in on him. Shavassie Frazier, 35 total touchdowns this season, 18 rushing, 17 passing. Probably one of the best dual threat players in the state of Arkansas this season.
Oh, without a doubt, I would put him up there with anybody. Coach Jones, when he first got to Junction and got to talk to him, he told me, he said, we're going to play up tempo. We're going to spread it out. We're going to no huddle. And the first thing that crosses your mind is, okay, he's fixing to fling the ball, between here and the Hardy Martin up to the R&D Grocery. We're going to throw the ball everywhere. And that's not what he meant. And it shows right here some of the numbers we were looking at a while ago. School record, 774 plays. He said he wanted to average about 80 plays a game. Well, if you look at those numbers, he's not too far off that. It's going to end up being in the top 10 in state history for most plays in the season after tonight. Offense, total offense, school record, 6,079 yards. I mean, Jacob, he has rolled through. This offense has rolled through some pretty good defenses, and they just made them look like there's nothing to it. Rush attempts, and this is the thing. Well, like I said, you thought he's going to throw the ball a bunch. No, we're going to run it. 617 rush attempts. They have 157 total pass attempts on the season. 617 rushing. That is also a school record. You would mention Taylor a while ago. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I'm not going to say he's going to do it, but he's 239 yards away from cracking the top 10 in state history for best rushing seasons. He could get into number 10 if he has a real big night tonight. We're not saying how he's got to do that or whatever, just saying it's out there. It's possible. But Coach Jones said, this is what I want to do. They've done it. Like you said, they believe in it. They bought into it, whatever phrase you want to use. And here we are on Friday night, last game of the season, no doubt about it.
Let's talk about this Junction City playoff run. You've been around Dragon football for as long as I can remember. You've been with them, early '90s, mid '90s when the ship was righted and began its on its way to what we're at now, our 8th state championship game. But talk a little bit about what you've seen out of this playoff run. It's really one that we haven't seen before. Junction City's trailed in the fourth quarter in all 3 of their playoff games. They've blown a pair of 23-point leads, and yet Coach Jones, probably the only word that you can use to describe it, this bunch has been resilient. They just do not quit.
That's the word to use. When you look at what you call a typical Dragon team, it's going to have a dominating defense, and we're talking about the 6 previous state champs. Let's just use them. A dominating defense that's going to hold a few school defensive records. An offense that's either pure wishbone or, like in the the early part of this decade, a spread offense type deal. This team comes in, they're mainly offensive, dominating team. The defense has been suspect at times, and then at times the offense seems to go off course. Like you said, they blowed a couple of 23-point leads. But if there's one thing you look at and go, hey, this is what we can hang our hat on, it don't matter how bad things are. When the fourth quarter rolls around, this bunch either comes back to life or shortly into the fourth quarter, they come back to life. And, the bottom line is this. They find a way to win. It may be the last second. You may have to take heart medicine after watching them. But they find a way to get it done, and that's how they got here. And to me, they're not a typical Dragon State finals team, not based on what they've done this year. You look at how the offense has really carried them. And, they're winning games by scores of 64-38, 44-38, 31-30. But it's like the old coach always said, in the end, who has the most points wins the game. And that's how this bunch plays.
And Junction City's won 13 games in a row. Their last loss to the team that they will face tonight in the Rivercrest Colts. You talk about that playoff run. In the second round, they come down to the wire 31-30 over Harding Academy. In the quarterfinals, a little post-Turkey Day football, they took down Clinton 50-43. And then last week in the border town, they topped Osceola 44-38. And, I mean, this is a Junction City team, like you said, and I thought Jason Avery did a real good job describing it in the paper. It's been all about fast starts and strong finishes. It's been a little bit rocky in between, but it's been about the fast starts and the strong finishes. They're outscoring their opponents 28-7 in the first quarter in these 3 playoff games. And in the fourth quarter, 36-16. So it's really been about finding a way to get it done.
And go back to that fourth quarter number again. If you're going to do something, if you got to put it all together and make it happen, you want it to happen in that fourth quarter. We talk about, when do you want that momentum? When you want Big Mo to come your way? You want to see Big Mo roll your way, especially late third quarter into the fourth quarter, and it seems to do that for this team. And a lot of that goes to the head coach, keeping them focused. It also goes to seniors, I'm going to say seniors, that are stepping up and patting each other on the back going, hey, we got to get this done, let's go. And that's what you want to see out of a team, especially when they're playing the last game of the season in War Memorial. Find a way to get it done like we said a while ago, and they do it. I mean, you hang your hat on their offense. This offense of Junction City's rolls. That's what they key it on. And there's times the offense is not rolling. You're like, okay, they're in trouble. But it goes back, like you said, they find a way to get it done.
These two teams tonight, offensively, when you look at what they've been able to do on the field throughout their season, they've combined for 25 wins and over 11,000 yards of offense.
Wow!
And so for Junction City, it's safe to say that they can't play like they have the last couple of weeks. They've slid by, they've found a way to get it done. But I believe this is a Rivercrest team that. If you give them too many free shots, too many advantages, whether it's penalties or whether it's turnovers, they'll definitely be able to take advantage because they've got several guys on the offensive side of the football that helps make the Colt motor run, so to speak.
Well, going back to Junction, a lot of coaches will tell you, and I've heard a lot of them say it, hanging around Coach Carmen and visiting with other coaches, and you'll hear them trading, I guess you could say, shop talk or whatever. And they all talk about the playoffs. There's one thing they kept saying. If you have weaknesses in the playoffs, if there's something that's been bothering you the whole season, maybe you don't have a good kicking game or maybe your penalties is a problem, whatever that weakness is, it will find you out come the playoffs. Junction City, a tendency to get penalties and plenty of them at the most inopportune time. Turnovers, seems like every now and then they'll hit a few that's fixing to do them in. They're going to be in trouble. They won't win this game, and they find a way to get it done, like we said a while ago. Those are the things that you hope tonight doesn't come into play. One of the other things is that lapse that we talked about with the offense at times, the defense having trouble getting out of a third down situation. That's been another weakness. But despite all that, as we said, they found a way to win. Well, you hope tonight that those weaknesses can be minimized and they bring home the school's 7th state title.
Let's talk about a couple of the playmakers on the offensive side of the football for Rivercrest. When you look at DeMylan Brown, junior quarterback, saw a lot of time as a sophomore signal caller for the Colts last season, including I believe he scored a touchdown in the last meeting between these two teams. But so far this year, 1,200 yards rushing, 17 touchdowns. That's a team high. And he also has 612 yards passing and 7 touchdowns. So when you look at what Chavassier's been able to do, not only running the ball but throwing the ball, Brown for the Colts has also had a lot of success for that Rivercrest bunch this year.
And another thing, talking about Rivercrest, if I can get it right, they got the playmakers, like you mentioned, and this is going to come down to which side's playmakers make the most plays. Junction has got to focus on the Rivercrest quarterback and shut him down because it all starts at quarterback. There's no doubt about it. But he seems to be their main focal point. They shut him down. They got a very good chance coming away with a W.
Yeah, but he won't be the only one Junction City will have to worry about shutting down. Still waiting to see if Contavious Robinson will be a go tonight, junior running back. I believe he broke his arm in week 10. If he is active tonight, he'll be in a cast, so it'll be interesting to see how much they'll be able to use him, not only offensively but defensively as well. And then super sophomore J.D. Winda. Me and you remember this young man
as a freshman.
Last year at the Cotton Patch. Again, he's had a phenomenal year in his sophomore season. 14 catches, 287 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's a team high. And defensively, he's had 74 tackles. And then on the offensive side of the football, he's 33 yards away from 1,000. He scored six rushing touchdowns as well. So not only do they get it done with Brown, but they can get it done with Winda as well.
Well, talking about him, if you remember, like you said, we noticed him last year as a freshman, and in the broadcast we talked about, well, they brought him up. He's played a couple games now. They're in the playoffs, and he seems to be coming around real good. And the big thing with him, you could watch him on the field and say, hey, this guy is a special player. He is definitely a playmaker, and he's somebody they can count on in the future. And we're noticing this, and then we look in the program, and the kid is just a freshman. So you're like, good gravy. Just think when he gets a little more seasoning, how tough he's going to be.
Junction City, the home team tonight. They'll be coming out of the tunnel in the northwest corner of War Memorial Stadium, while the Rivercrest Colts, white jerseys, red pants, and a red helmet, they'll be coming out of the southeast corner of War Memorial Stadium here, and we are just under 6 minutes until kickoff. 2017 Class 3A state championship game. Tell you what, stands starting to fill in quite nicely. Again, very cold outside. I believe it's about 33 degrees, so you appreciate the warmth of the press box on nights like tonight.
Oh, I'm loving it. I ain't gonna kid you. I don't know if I could deal with the cold. The coldest we've ever dealt with was Magazine in 2009, and at the end of the game it was 8 degrees, and it dropped quite a bit. I think at kickoff it was like maybe 12 degrees. But that was a game Miss Lowe was, I believe, the cheerleader sponsor that year, and she said that the heater on the bus didn't work, and on their way back ice was forming on the inside of the bus. That's how cold it was leaving Magazine that night. But nonetheless, a very good crowd here for both teams. It might not really look like it at the moment, but there's still folks coming in. And, of course, War Memorial will hold, I think it's crammed full, about 56,000, and there's about, I'd say, a couple thousand here right now.
For Junction City, it's hard not to think of this as a titanic matchup. It's the Class 3A state finals. You got Junction City and Rivercrest. What's on the line for the Dragons? It'd be their 7th state title in program history. It'd be their 5th unbeaten season. Only been done 4 times in the history of the program. And for Rivercrest, they're looking for their first state title since 2010 and their 3rd overall. And so you have to think both of these bunches are going to play some inspired football tonight for their head coaches, who are both alma maters, or both played at those schools growing up.
Well, the coach for Rivercrest played on the 70 team we was talking about, 1970 team, and that was the first year in the Cotton Patch, and then this year, this is their last year in it, and he's coaching the team, of course, here tonight. So a little bit of history there for Rivercrest, and especially, the coach, when you think about it, he's bound to be going through his mind, hey, I was there when they opened the patch, I was there when they closed it, now look where we're at. And for Junction City, Coach Jones, as a player, was a member of the 03 team, the first one to go undefeated, win state, and then, of course, as a senior, he quarterbacked the Dragons to the semis, where they lost to eventual state champion Charleston. So Coach Jones knows a lot about, needless to say, knows a lot about the Dragon tradition. He's put in his own stuff kind of to, change things up, and he should, and it's paid off, and, here we are tonight.
The captains are at midfield for the coin toss for Junction City. A trio of seniors, number 40, Terrell Gibson, number 3, Jalen Davis, and number 67, Noriega Frazier. And Junction City will receive the football to start tonight's contest. And a Dragon offense that has scored at least 30 points in all of their games this season, averaging 47.9 points per contest. We'll have the football here first against a Rivercrest defense that is allowing just about 14 points per game in this playoffs.
You know what they say, something's got to give.
Something's got to give. It'll definitely give tonight. And the Rivercrest Colts, champions of the 3-3A with a 12-2 record, take the field. They'll be on the far side as visitors. Tonight's Class 3A state championship game, Junction City. Still waiting to make their arrival onto the field. And the six-time Arkansas high school football state champion Junction City Dragons, hoping to make it number 7 tonight in Little Rock, take the field. And we are just moments away from kickoff here in War Memorial Stadium. And I tell you what, while we've got just about 60 seconds until kickoff, go ahead and give me your keys to the game for Junction City. On both sides of the football, what do the Dragons have to do to make sure number 7 comes back to the border town?
Well, we know they're going to start with offense. Let's talk about the defense. Win the battle on third down. Coach Meeks talked about that last week, emphasized it, and it was so important. Same thing here with Rivercrest. You do not want them to get going. They don't know if they really got the up-tempo offense they would need if they got behind a good bit to come back. So you want to win the battle on third down. Offensively, 3 keys: Frazier, Taylor, Davis. Need them all to have big games. If they all have big games, then Mr. Pumphrey, number 7, comes back to the border town.
Junction City return team takes the field back deep. Frazier to the far side, standing at about his 7. And Taylor toward the middle of the field at his 11-yard line. Going to be a high corner kick. Fielded at about the 26-yard line. That's Fisher, and he is corralled immediately. Several Colts there on the scene. I believe they're going to mark him down forward progression at the 25-yard line, and that's where the Dragon offense will have it for the first time tonight.
And that concludes our Kevin Payne Foundation pregame show. Of course, now we're into the game real quick. Title sponsor for DSN, El Dorado Chemical, and the title sponsor for Junction City Football, Union Kennel and Farm Supply.
First play from scrimmage. Junction City breaks the huddle. They've got twins to the right. Taylor, the lone back in the backfield, brings Davis in motion. They'll fake to him. Taylor will keep it, and it'll be a minimal gain, maybe picked up a yard. So, Wayne, they had Frazier lined out wide to the far side of the field on first play from scrimmage.
Want to throw a little something different at them. Just give them a different look, make them think about it. Give Rivercrest credit. They didn't really worry about, well, okay, they're doing something different here. Stick to what we're going to do.
Quick pass from Frazier caught by Davis, and he'll muscle his way up to the 30-yard line. He'll be just north of that, so it'll bring up a third down for Junction City. About 5 to go as we're just under 11.5 to play here in the opening quarter.
And look for Mr. Taylor to get in action here, Jacob, on this third down.
2 receivers to the right. McGugan and Ford, the up back, and that's a high snap. It's over his head, and it will be pounced on by Taylor, but that is going to be a huge loss. They're going to spot Junction City back at the 13-yard line. Nobody was expecting that. And it went right in between Frazier and Taylor, who were the 2 backs in the backfield. Junction City with no other thing to do but to punt here.
I'm not sure, Jacob, what the center was thinking there, but that could have been very costly.
Line drive kick, and it's hopefully going to take a Junction City roll, not much of one. And the Rivercrest offense is going to have absolutely great field position on their first drive from scrimmage. So we see Junction City. First 2 plays, they kind of, a couple of run plays. They get 5 yards, find yourself in a 3rd and 5, and then a huge mistake on the wild snap over the head of both Frazier and Taylor. And then the punt Not really a lot of yards on the punt either. Rivercrest offense going to start at the 43-yard line along the left hash. They'll be moving left to right. 10:34 to play in the opening quarter. Brown in the shotgun, fakes to Winda. He'll keep it on the right side. He's being pressured, nowhere to go. Dante Gibson, Fred Daniel, the two men on the scene, and that'll be a loss of about 7 yards.
Yes, it's going to be about 7-yard loss.
We'll call it 6 from the press box. 10:15 to play in the opening quarter, so a big play by the Dragon defense.
And that's what you need to see here. I mean, we come in a hole here, so to speak. You need to see the Dragon defense step it up and come through.
49-yard line near hash. Little trickeration. He's got a man wide open. No one's down there. He's caught by Winda at the 20, and he will waltz into the end zone. Touchdown. Rivercrest strikes first. 9:54 to play in the opening quarter. And I tell you what, a little trickeration there they gave to the first man in motion, Caleb Long, who tossed it back to, I believe that was Scott. And he tossed it down the field to, that was Turner. Tossed it downfield to Winda, and he didn't have a guy within 15, 20 yards of him.
Dragons secondary got suckered in, and some of them I think fell asleep there. A great call by Rivercrest when you got an aggressive defense like Junction City come out on that first play. A great call, caught them off guard, and like you said, first blood goes to Rivercrest.
And the extra point is up and in. And with a timeout on the field, 9:54 to play in the first quarter of the Class 3A state semifinals. Rivercrest strikes first. They lead Junction City 7-0.
And while we got a little break, Jacob, the fine sponsors of the Dragon Sports Network, we'd like to thank all of them for helping us out here this year, being a part of the broadcast. As I mentioned a while ago, El Dorado Chemical, Union Kennel and Farm Supply, and, of course, the Kevin Payne Foundation. Appreciate everything they have done for us. Lanix Energizing Company, STI Sims, Three Creeks Baptist Church, Red Roof Barbecue, Junction City Florist, Kim's Hair Salon, and Hog Wild Pest Control. We got a few more, and we will get all of them in. We thank every one of y'all for helping us make the Dragon Sports Network one of the best in the state.
Rivercrest leads Junction City 7-0 here with 9:54 remaining in the first quarter. This is something we talked about on the drive up. With the exception of a handful of seniors that dressed as ninth graders in 2014, when Junction City beat Hazen 38-6 for their third consecutive Class 2A crown, none of these players on the field for both sides have ever played in a game this big in this stadium. So you got to think there's some jitters here and there, and you're hoping that you can weather those jitters through the first, 8 to 10 minutes of the opening quarter, and then it just becomes a football game.
Well, Coach Carpenter always said the first 7 minutes of a game, a team's going to really be pumped up.
Again, a corner kick. Fisher fields it at about the 24-yard line along the far side. Stops. He's going to have a little bit of a hole. Gets across the 40, still on his feet, and he's wrapped up and dropped as he makes his way to the 43-yard line. So good field position for Junction City here as their offense heads back out onto the field.
And when I was going to go ahead and finish that thought, like you said, first 7 minutes of a game, you got to get the adrenaline out of the way, get settled down, play ball. And that's what it's going to come down to. None of these guys on either side are familiar with this. You count Junction City's freshmen. So whoever gets over the nerves and settles in and plays their game will be in real good shape.
Davis on the carry. He'll pick up 2 yards up to the 45-yard line. 9:42, clock running here in the first quarter. Rivercrest leads Junction City 7-0. Dragons looking to the sideline. They like to move quick. Fisher, Davis, the wide receivers to the left. Taylor moves to the left to Fisher, who's in the gun. Fisher will keep. Stays on his feet, and he'll pick up about 3 yards, be just shy of the midfield stripe. They actually mark him down at the 48-yard line. So, again, another third down for Junction City.
And you really need that Dragon offensive line to start making their presence known, Jacob. Start getting some holes open.
Taylor in the shotgun. Gives to thought about giving to Davis. He's wrapped up and dropped in the backfield. Ball's loose, but they're going to say he was down by contact. And I tell you what, it was a slow read play, and Davis appeared to get in the way of Taylor. It looked like he slowed down, like as if he was going to give him the football, and Taylor decided to keep it. Bumped into the back of Davis, and that really just Junction busted their own play there on 3rd down. So on 4th and 8 from the 46-yard line, Junction City appears to be going for it. Pistol formation. Frazier takes the snap. He looks left, throws on the run, hangs one up, double coverage. Davis, and the pass is incomplete. A couple of Dragons wanted a flag. One could have been thrown. Pass was almost intercepted.
Well, actually, he did good not intercepted if he went down
great
there.
Field position again. Once again, Rivercrest takes to the field offensively for their 2nd drive of the night, and they've already got it in Junction City territory.
A bold move by Coach Jones. They go for it on 4th down. They don't get it. You need the Dragon defense here to really step up because this does put them in a hole, especially like you said with the field position Rivercrest has gotten. We're already down 7-zip.
8:22 to play, 1st quarter. Rivercrest, their 2nd offensive drive of the evening. Brown in the pistol. Ball's on the ground, and it's going to be recovered by Junction City. I believe that's Dante Gibson.
It
so
is.
the Dragons, a huge break. The defense comes up with a fumble recovery, and the offense is right back out there.
And that's what you wanted to see. You want to see a good play. Give the Dragon defensive line credit. They had it kind of shut down as they were going outside anyway, but it allowed the linebackers to flow over in the secondary to come up very quick, and now Junction City with the opportunity to get something going.
Frazier out of the pistol, gives to Taylor. He's got a lot of running room on that right side. He gets to the sideline, stops, and he is wrapped up and dropped, but not before he crosses the 40, and he's inside the 40. They're going to mark him down at the 37-yard line. So the biggest play from scrimmage so far for Junction City. Again, the Dragons moving quickly. Fisher and Davis, the wide outs to the left side. Taylor moves from behind Frazier to his left. And going to be a false start penalty on Junction City. The offense was ready to move except for the snap. Both wide receivers, a couple of the offensive linemen were on the move. Frazier was back there just waiting for the football.
So you have to believe with everybody else ready to go, maybe the center wasn't sure, and that's 2 mistakes on the center that's hurt us here. First one, the bad snap, and then this here, it puts you back. Of course, the good thing about it is for still 1st down, and with this offense, they can easily overcome 15 yards.
Dragons behind the chains, ball at the 42-yard line of Rivercrest. 1st and 15 from the far hash. In the gun, keeps it, and that is going to be Frazier. He may have gotten back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe a loss of about a half of a yard. Bring up 2nd down and 15. We near the 7.5-minute mark here in the opening quarter.
I believe Jacob is going to come down and getting a few passes completed to make them back off just a little bit on what they're doing defensively.
Single receiver to the left and the right. Ford the up back to the left. Pistol formation. Ball at the 43-yard line. Deep motion for Taylor. And pass is complete to Fisher. Bobbles it, and they read that one like a book. Nowhere. Actually, they're going to say he didn't even come away with it, which is a good thing because Junction City would have lost about 4, maybe 5 yards had he been able to hold on to it.
Number 4, number 11 for Rivercrest. I think you got their roster over there. Number 4, number 11 kept their assignments, stayed at home, and like you said, they had that red all the way.
Yeah, that's Wenda and Stovall for the Colts. Again, 3rd down and 16. They give to Taylor. He's trying to get to the corner.
Outside.
He gets it, and he's going to be knocked out of bounds just shy of the 1st down. I do believe he's inside the 30. They mark him out at the 26.
I believe he got the 1st down. Yeah, he did
get the first down. He did get the first down.
Good spot.
So a nice run on 3rd and long for Hashima Taylor. He picks up 16 yards when he needed 15 and a half. Junction moving quickly. Davis, the recipient of the pass from Frazier, and he's wrapped up at the line of scrimmage and dropped. There'll be no gain on the play. Bring up 2nd down and 10 for Junction City from the Rivercrest 26.
Jacob, they are very aggressive. They're up on the line. They are very aggressive, especially their secondary coming up very fast. They're susceptible to a deep pass.
And Junction City will go to the air. Frazier up top's got a man incomplete. Fisher was looking for the football. He got behind the coverage. Pass was thrown out of bounds. I don't believe it would have been catchable anyway. And so again, Junction City, they love to move quickly, but they find themselves in third down situations quickly too.
Yes, they do. It seems like a third down that's come up lately, it's been a pretty deep hole to get out of. But I'll say it again, I've said it a million times before, this offense can easily overcome it.
Dragons break the huddle, 4 men to the left side. They give to Davis on a spot pass, moves out of one tackle. He's got the first down. He's inside the 15. They mark him down at the 12, and another big play by the Junction City offense. 2 big conversions on third down, keeps the drive alive, and the Dragons are in the purple zone.
Well, we said it last week. What do playmakers do?
They make plays.
That's it. And again, Taylor first time and Davis here.
Gives to Taylor, moves over right guard. He's inside the 10. I believe they're going to mark him down at the 9. Official stats have that as a rush over the left end. I believe that's going to be a pass. It's hard to tell whether he threw it in front of him or behind him. We'll get that figured out later. McGugan forward. They move from the left to the right. Direct snap to Frazier. He's met immediately, thinks about throwing, spins out of a couple of missed tackles. And Junction City on third down, or now it'll be third down. They'll be backed up behind the chains once again. That's kind of that a little bit of an exaggerated run pass option. Usually you don't see it spread out like that, but Junction City's been able to run it successfully so far this year. Frazier rolls out. He's got a man. Got Fisher inside the 10 down to the 6. I tell you what, Fisher ran a slant route and he just stopped right there in the middle of the field. And right as he was hit, Frazier was able to find him.
And it gives them I was going to say it's 4 down territory. It gives them a very doable 4th down, and there's no doubt the Dragons will go. It's going to be about a 4th and 4.
4th and 4 from the 6. They can get to the 2 and pick up a first down to keep the drive going. Pistol formation. Handoff goes to Taylor. He's got the first down, and he's got, I believe, a little bit more. Touchdown, Junction City. Hashima Taylor from 6 yards out, and the Dragons are an extra point from tying this ball game at 7.
Good, solid run by Hashima Taylor. Took a couple hits and kept right on going like the Energizer Bunny.
And Junction City, as they've done all year, will line up and go to 2. They've been successful on 47 two-point conversion attempts this season. That's a state record. And if they can get one here, they'll have the lead and know where going.
We got a flag.
We do have a flag, and hopefully it's on the Colts, but it's probably going to be a false start on the Dragons along the far side. Really the only thing you can call a pre-snap. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a false start on Junction City. So the 2-point try fails. Davis was unable to reach the end zone regardless. So the timeout on the field, 4:59 to play in the opening quarter here at the Rock. Junction City and Rivercrest. The Colts lead it 7-6. You're watching Junction City football exclusively on the Dragon Sports Network.
.459 remaining in the first quarter. Our score, Rivercrest 7, Junction City 6. And the Dragons, as Jacob mentioned a while ago, getting on the board. A good solid run by Hashima Taylor to put Junction City on the board. They failed on the 2-point conversion, but nonetheless, it was good to see the Dragons kind of, after coming off that Rivercrest turnover, get down the field, score. They converted a couple of big third downs. The first one by Taylor on a run on 3rd and 15. He picks up 16. And then Davis with a 9-yard reception to get through the other third down situation they were in. So the Dragons come out of 2 holes there to keep the drive going and put points on the board. And now you want to see the defense come out and establish themselves and get that ball back.
Jack Smith with things teed up. Junction City going to onside kick it. That's a live football. It was touched, I believe, by a Colt. And that's going to be, I believe the Dragons have it.
Let's see what. Nope, they're singling Rivercrest. Oh, what? The official on the far side did. I think he meant.
He had to have meant Junction City. There wasn't even a white jersey.
I didn't see a white. There wasn't a white jersey anywhere. He's pointing. Okay.
That's all right.
He was pointing at us like it's Junction City's ball. He meant
Yeah.
Oh boy, he had my heart. I didn't bring my heart medicine with me, Jacob. They got to get this right now. Can't make me nervous here.
7-6 is our score. The Dragons onside and get it, and they're running again. Taylor takes the snap, met in the backfield, shakes off one tackle, reverses field. Still on his feet, moves across the 45, and he will be down at the 46-yard line. That's going to be a pickup of about 7 yards, and I tell you what, he probably ran 30 to get that 7. A nice run by Hashima Taylor.
I counted 36 yards he ran. It reminded me of Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders can make a 2-yard run look exciting. Taylor made a 7-yard run look very exciting.
Single receiver to each side of the formation. Frazier in the offense to work out of the pistol. 2nd down and 3. Frazier takes the snap, flag on the play. They give to Taylor on the pass reception, and he will pick up the 1st down, but we'll wait and see what the penalty will be. As quickly as they come out, it's going to probably potentially be.
Yep. 5 yards on the Dragons.
I believe that was an illegal motion call, which as quickly as Junction City moves, I believe not all the players were set before the snap. So that'll back them up. It'll make it a 2nd down, and we'll call it 8.5. They fake the give to Davis. Frazier keeps it along the left side, still on his feet, powering his way up around the 44-yard line. I believe he did lose the football. And the Colts are coming out of the pile saying they've got it. And they indeed do. We'll wait for the official.
Yeah.
And there it is. He motions for Colt football. And so Junction City, they recover the onside kick and then give it right back several plays later. Frazier, I tell you what, he got bunched up there in a group of players. And really, you want both hands on the football when you get in that situation, but sometimes you can't get there quick enough. And
he was fighting for yards, and like you said, you get in that situation, you got to wrap that ball up. And I saw the guy when he come in, he was coming in to strip, and give them credit, they made it happen. And just like that, they got great field position at the Dragon 44. I was going to say this real quick, Jacob. You want to see the Dragon offense and defense get into a rhythm, get settled in and get going. It still seems to be herky-jerky out there. Both sides of the ball.
The 3rd consecutive drive, the Colts are in Dragon field position to start the drive. And that is going to be Turner. He's off and running, makes one man miss, but he's able to get a hand in there. That's Cavante Haynes. And he brings down, that's Brown, not Turner. Brown brings him down after a big gain. That puts Rivercrest quickly inside the Junction City 15. Along the far hash, the ball spotted at the 13-yard line. That's a gain of 32 yards.
And I believe it was Brock McGugan had him by about 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he got away from Brock, and there was nobody there when he shot through that hole, and he ends up with 32 yards.
Twins to either side of the formation. Wenda gets the carry out of the backfield. He'll pick up about 4, still on his feet, and they're saying the football's on the ground. Junction City's saying they've come away with it. And the officials are still in the pile. Yet it's a Colt player that comes up with the football. So I tell you what, it's herky-jerky is probably a good way to describe it. Back and forth on both sides. You still see those nerves having a lot to do with the action being played on the field tonight.
A very good point. I agree. And whoever can get settled down first is going to take control of this game.
You're exactly right. 3 minutes to play first quarter. 7-6 Rivercrest lead. Brown gets it, nowhere to go. Javassier Cook, the first man there, and Terrell Gibson arrives just moments later to clean up the mess. And that's a big play for Junction City. Going to put the Colts in a 3rd down situation. Ball spotted at the 8-yard line, middle of the field. I believe they do have somewhat of a pretty good kicking game. Yeah. And so if you're Junction City, definitely want to force them, try to hold them to a field goal attempt here.
Big play. One of the keys we talked about, get out of 3rd down. Like you said, force a field goal.
They fake to give to Wenda, then they'll throw it to him out of the backfield. Man misses a tackle, touchdown Rivercrest. Over pursued along the far side. Wenda caught it out of the backfield, easily had the 1st down. And again, into the end zone. And the Rivercrest lead is back to 7 with 2:18 to play here in the first quarter. The Colts lead at 13-6.
And you said it well, Jacob. Over pursued, and that allowed Wyndon just to scoot on in there for 6 points.
And the kick is up, and I believe it is good, and it is.
It is.
With the timeout on the field, 2:18 to play here in the first quarter. Class 3A state championship game. Rivercrest 14, Junction City 6. You're watching Dragon football exclusively on the Dragon Sports Network.
.218 remaining first quarter. You're watching Junction City football on the Dragon Sports Network. And I know you hear me say watching it. We're not allowed to show the game per AAA regulations. We're bringing you the audio. You will be able to view the game tomorrow on Ustream on the Dragon Sports Network channel. And a big shout out to all our sponsors. A while ago we mentioned a few. Get a few more in real quick. STI Sims, Three Creeks Baptist Church. Proud to have all of them on board. We try to remember y'all during the game, of course, especially during the state finals. It's hard to you get into the game and you're like, hey, we've got to remember these people to help make it all happen. To all of y'all, we say a big thank you. That's what Jacob and I talked about a while ago. Things kind of, the term I used, Jacob, herky-jerky. It's just not settling down. And the Dragons, on this kickoff here, they need to get this offense going.
And that's going to be fielded at the 20-yard line by Frazier. He bounces around, and he'll be corralled as he crosses the 30-yard line. They'll mark him down, I believe, at the 31. So that's where Junction City will head out for this offensive drive with 2:12 to play in the first quarter. Yeah, we've seen the football on the ground a couple of times from both squads. We've seen some misassignments. We've seen guys over pursuing, and that comes with nerves and energy. You've got to calm yourself down. In the end, it's just another football game. Yeah, you're playing in a stadium that holds, what, 45, 50,000 people? There's not that many here. It's still a football game. 1st and 10, Frazier keeps. He spins out of 2 tackles, and he moves up across the 35 down to the 38. Now, a nice run by Chavassier Frazier over right guard. Would have been a gain of just about 3 yards.
The spin move right there. He gets hit and spins out of it. He picks up about another 5 or 6, Jacob. Like you said, very good run.
2nd down and 3. Quick pass to Davis out of the backfield. He's trying to get the edge. Flags on the play. He'll pick up the 1st down, but it looks like that's going to be a holding penalty from the vicinity in which that flag came from.
It came from the side, Judge, and let's see. I was hoping maybe he saw something else there that he's calling on, but I'm afraid it's going to be a hold. Let's see. Now, the Dragons indicated is against the Colts. We still have not got a – here we go. Yes, face mask.
Face mask penalty on the defense. That helps out Junction City greatly. That'll be 15 yards and an automatic 1st down. That'll put the Dragons into Colt territory. Ball officially spotted at, I believe, the 41-yard line of Rivercrest.
You want to capitalize on this. And I know we say that, you hear it every week. Sounds like a cliche, kind of. But every time you get an opportunity like this, especially in the finals, you got to capitalize.
Junction City breaks the huddle. And, again, moving quickly. I believe that's going to be a false start. Kind of a different look offensively. They bunched it up along the right side. They had an offensive lineman kind of split out wide. And anytime you do that, you're bound to kind of run into some trouble there with the false start penalty. So Junction City gets 15. They give 5 back. And they'll have it here on 1st and 10 after the penalty at the 46-yard line of the Colts. 1:41 to play in the opening quarter. Rivercrest 14, Junction City 6. Pistol formation. Taylor gets the call. Over right guard. He'll make his way back to the original line of scrimmage, a gain of about 5. So it'll be 2nd down and 10 from the 41.
Motions are starting to get a little high. That's what I was watching real close, Jacob. The officials are talking to them now. You got a couple of guys, a couple of those seniors that they need to settle down. Play your game, get out of the trash talking right now because you need to get some stuff going.
Yeah.
You cannot get mentally ready when you're wanting to talk trash or, get a little extra shove in there. It's not helping you none.
It's almost cost Junction City in a couple of their playoff games. Definitely don't want it to cost them here tonight in Little Rock. Frazier Three-step drop, plenty of time to throw. Up the right side, incomplete. Was trying to hook up with Davis, but matching him step for step along that far sideline. Hats off to Zori Chipman, senior safety, playing a little corner there. That was nicely done by him. He was matching Davis step for step.
And like I said, a well-done job by him. And the Dragons trying a little something deep. You got to get the Colts defense off that line of scrimmage a little bit. They're bringing up. They got 5 down and 2 linebackers, and they got the safeties coming up.
3rd and 10. Ball is in the air. That's going to be intercepted at the 45-yard line and returned inside Dragon territory. That's Warren Thurman. And so Junction City just looking absolute sloppy here in the first 12 minutes of play. They turn it over with 44 seconds to play here in the opening quarter. Frazier wasn't even really looking for his intended target, floated one up there. And
I put it to you like this. A lot of duck hunters in Arkansas would have loved that one.
yeah, that's something
He
you
just
see
put a
over
duck up there
in the
and-
Stuttgart area for sure.
Yes. And the second he threw it, you knew it wasn't good, and the coach was reading it immediately. Once again, Dragon defense, you ask them to shut it down, get the ball back, because I think this is the 3rd time the coach has started on our side of the field.
Brown flips to Winda. He's hitting the backfield, stays on his feet, and he's tripped up by Jakyron Cook. And so the Dragon defense, again, another big play on 1st and 10. As the Colts start their drive, they'll put Rivercrest behind the chains here on 2nd down with about 15 to go.
And Jacob, want to at the end of this first quarter, we got a state finals trivia question. Why don't you go ahead and put it out there and let's see if the folks know it. And it's a hard one, but it's a good one.
2nd and 15 for Rivercrest, under 10 seconds. They'll break the huddle, so this will be the final play here in the first quarter. Colts lead it by 8, 2nd and 15 from the far hash. And there's whistles with 1 second to play. So with 1 second to play, Coach Chandler calls a timeout. Wants to talk things over with his offense. So they won't.
And I'll admit I didn't see the 25-second clock, but I'm like, why? Not sure why he called it. He had to hurry up and call it, but I wouldn't look at. When you said 5 seconds, I looked at the main clock, and then the whistle. We saw the referee signaling stop play. So it makes you wonder, why didn't he just wait till the end of the quarter?
So if you're Junction City, a couple of the alarms should be going off, kind of seeing what they may be dialing up there on the far side of the field. They'll be faced with a 2nd and 15 coming out of the timeout. Again, just 1 second to play here in the first quarter. Dragons trail Rivercrest by 8, 14-6 is our score. And as much as we'd like to say it's been a battle of who's looked the less sloppy, Rivercrest has actually looked pretty good throughout the most of this first quarter here.
Yes, they have.
Final play of the opening 12 minutes. 2nd and 15, ball spotted just north of the 45-yard line. Brown in the shotgun, Winda to his right. And false start along the far side. Excuse me, that was Winda who had the false start called on him on the far side of the field.
So you gladly take that penalty and back them up. And Jacob, in the pregame show, in the Kevin Payne Foundation pregame show, we talked about, this is not a typical Junction City team in terms of, well, they're calling the penalty on Junction City. Not sure what that was about because we had a coat jump.
So offsides on the defense. It'll bring trying to get the game clock set. And so 1 second to play, be the final play of the first quarter. Pressured, throws, and the pass is incomplete. I believe a couple of Rivercrest players wanted a pass interference. Good coverage there on the edge by Terrell Gibson. And so 12 minutes in the books here in War Memorial Stadium, the Class 3A state championship game. Rivercrest 14, Junction City 6. Time out on the field. You're watching Junction City football exclusively on the Dragon Sports Network.
And that concludes, like Jacob said, the first quarter. It was not a very memorable first quarter if you're a Dragon fan. Junction City not looking settled on either side of the ball, but despite all that, they're only down 8. You get a defense to stand here and get the ball back, score, make 2, and you're starting the game all over. And Mr. Jacob has a state finals trivia question up for grabs. Whoever can answer. We have a double X, never been worn, let me say it like that, hoodie. So whoever can get it right, you get a Dragon Sports Network hoodie. But before we do that, let me send a special shout out to 2 people that I know they would dearly love to be here tonight. They are cheering their grandson on very hard, I'm sure, and that's Mr. Jerry and Miss Janice Brewer. Both of them been battling health issues. Our thoughts, our prayers are with you. We love you. And we hope that our grandson Stephen and these Dragons bring you home some good medicine. A good state title win, I know, would do a lot of good. And we're pulling for that, and we're pulling for y'all.
Teams switch sides of the field. 14-6 is our score. We're set to start the second quarter here in War Memorial, Class 3A state championship game. Brown takes the snap, pump fakes to the left, wanting to throw. He'll keep it, and it'll be a minimum gain. He may have gotten back to the line of scrimmage. Flags are thrown.
That should be a hold.
That should be a hold. That was coming from the umpire.
While they're doing that, Jacob, go ahead and give us the question. I'm anxious to see who can get it.
Junction City's played in 7 state championship games. A lot of storied history there, but only one player has ever carried the football, recorded a rush, caught a pass, had an interception return, a punt return, and a kickoff return in one game. Only one player has ever done it. Recorded a rush, caught a pass, kick return, punt return, and had an interception return.
Only one guy's ever done it.
One player's ever done it. 7 games, only one guy's ever done it.
Give us a name. And go ahead and tell the folks that I did get it right. It took me a while.
So Junction City, a penalty right out of the gate to start the second quarter. And Rivercrest, they'll run it here on 1st and 10. Jamaica Franks, senior fullback on the carry. He's met by several Dragons. Javasi Cook, Terrell Gibson in on the stop. As Nathan Tucker checks in for Brock McGugan. 2nd down and 9. Ball at the middle of the field at the Junction City 33-yard line. Single receiver to each side of the formation. Brown will work out of the pistol. Kind of a full house backfield look. Handoff goes to Frank. No, he'll keep it, and should have given it to him because nowhere to go. They'll be behind the chains here on 3rd down.
I think he was trying to do a delay handoff, draw him in, and he was going to keep it. And like you said, he was actually better off go ahead and give it to him because the Dragons did not fall for the delay. As we're looking at on the replay, they came right after the quarterback.
So Brown dropped for a loss. He'll lose 2. That'll put the Colts behind the chains, 3rd down and 12. Nearing the 10.5-minute mark here in the second quarter. They'll go under center. Deep motion. And they'll give Tawinda back across. He bounces around, still looking for some running room. And so a nice job by Junction City.
And a late flag comes in, Jacob.
And now we've got a flag from the head official. That was after the play, so I have to think it might be a late hit. Several Dragons were clapping.
Well, they've clapped before, and we actually thought the previous penalty ended up being on Junction. We thought it was a hold on Rivercrest. This hurts.
And so personal foul on Junction City, something they've been able to avoid through most part of the season. They've been unable to do so here tonight. And I tell you what, you start losing your cool. That not only does it affect you, but your opponent sees that and they can start taking advantage. And so that'll be an automatic 1st down for Rivercrest. I believe Coach Jones wanting an explanation. Several Dragons, they were adamant as soon as that flag come out of the pocket of the head official that it was on Rivercrest. But the official call is against Junction. And that'll move the Colts inside the 20, officially spotted down at the 18-yard line.
Coach Smith, I was going to say, the defense coordinator, Brad Smith, was out on the field further than Coach Jones wanting an explanation on that. I think everybody was. But nonetheless, a costly penalty on the Dragons.
30 yards in penalties And nowhere going. That's Franks. Gibson, the first man there. Davis helping him as well. That'll be a minimal gain, maybe a yard. They'll give him forward progression. 2nd down and 9 here with 10 minutes to play in the second quarter.
And real quick on the trivia question, folks, put your answer on the Junction City School Facebook page. If you think you know who it is, put it on there and win a DSN XX hoodie.
9:49 to play here in the first half. Junction City trails Rivercrest 14-6, but the Colts are knocking on the door once again. Football, middle of the field, 18-yard line. Brown in the offense breaks the huddle. They'll be under center. Deep motion is Winda. He gets the pitch to the right side. Met by Gibson in the hole, and he will be wrapped up and dropped for a loss back out of the red zone at the 21-yard line, and it'll be a 3rd down and 13 coming for the Colts.
And that's what you want to see out of your defensive leader, a senior. Step up, make some big plays. He is the school's, by the way, last week he became the school's all-time leading tackler. I'm not sure how many he's got right now, but he is closing in on 400. And as far as our records show, we never had a Dragon record over 400 tackles in his career.
9 minutes to play first half. Big 3rd down for both teams. Man in motion from left to right. They fake to him. They're going to throw back across the field, and it is caught. And it's got a 1st down. That's Brown. And so we've seen teams so far in this playoff run have success running that same play where the quarterback throws it over to a man in motion and he just wheels his way out of the backfield. Junction City actually read it pretty good, but Brown was able to get behind the coverage. And that's a big gain, puts the Colts inside the 3. They're going to mark them down at the 1 here on the near hash.
The ball squarely, on the 1-yard line. And Jacob, somebody did their homework on film study. There's no doubt about it.
So Junction City on their heels, under 8.5 to play. They trail by 8. Rivercrest looking to add to it. Try to keep it in tight. And I believe he's going to be short of the goal line.
They ran an unbalanced line there. I think they was trying to make Junction think they was going to swing something in there, and the quarterback just took it off, took snap and come right off center with it.
Junction City making some changes. Blake Wilson, Cody Atkins checking into the ball game. They'll be over both the guards. Rivercrest set heavy to the right again. Quarterback keeper, and he is up over the center. And he's in the end zone, but flags are on the play. And so that helps Junction City out. It gives them some breathing room for that defense to operate. Still on their heels here with 7:50 to play in the first half. They'll make some more changes along the defensive side of the football. Penalty pushes the ball just outside of the 5-yard line. Be 2nd down and goal for the Colts. They'll operate on the near hash. And again, they'll come out in an unbalanced set. 5 linemen to the right. They'll give to Franks. He powers over near the goal line, and they're going to say the football got in. Touchdown, Rivercrest. 7:32 to play in the first half, and Jamaica Franks barrels over the right side. He goes behind that unbalanced line. 5 blockers out in front of him, and he finds pay dirt, and it is a 20-6 lead for the Colts here with 7:32 to play in the first half.
And he definitely got in. And all that matters is the football, but he put it over the line. And the Dragons now find themselves in a 15-point hole with 7:32 to play.
Yeah, Junction City was hit in the mouth here early and definitely not playing Dragon football. Again, it goes back to when you look at it, you see 2 teams that really haven't had any experience on this stage. They've made some playoff runs here in the past couple of years, but none of them ever played in War Memorial Stadium. And you're hoping those nerves go away quickly so you can start playing football, because in the end, it's just another football game.
That's right, and it's so true, Jacob. I know people say, well, no, wait a minute, this is the finals. You know, it is. It's just another game, and you got to play your game. And one of the things that we talked about was your weaknesses being found out. When you hit the playoffs, if you're a playoff caliber team, you get in the playoffs, your weaknesses whatever you had during the season that caused you problems, and maybe you got away from it, you was playing an inferior opponent, or you caught some breaks or whatever, if they're not corrected or minimized, they can come back to haunt you. Turnovers, penalties, hurting the Dragons, and right now that's the very reason they're down 15 with 7:32 to go in this second quarter.
The biggest deficit for a Junction City football team in the state finals. It's 15 with 7:32 to play here in the first half. Kick is fielded by Frazier at the 10. Bounces up the middle, still on his feet, across the 30. Breaks off of 2 tackles. He tries to get to the Dragons sideline. Runs over a man as he crosses midfield, and that's going to be excellent field position for Junction City. So a 41-yard return by Chavassier Frazier puts the Junction City offense in Colt territory at the Rivercrest 49-yard line.
And you need to make something happen here. Again, great field position for Junction City after a great return. Capitalize on it.
Snap back, Junction City, a little trickeration. It's not really fooling Rivercrest. Davis just trying to use his speed, and he will lose 4 yards. So Davis had nowhere to go, trying to use his speed to get out and about, but he couldn't. And he's dropped for a loss. That'll put the football back inside Dragon territory at the Junction City 47 on the 4-yard loss.
The Colts are coming up on that line aggressively. I mean, you watch them here. They are attacking immediately as soon as the ball snaps, and it's going to make them susceptible to some, intermediate passes, your 10 to 18-yard range.
Going to be a quick flip out to Taylor. Stops, powers forward, and he'll be shy of the original line of scrimmage, just shy of the midfield stripe. So a 3rd down and long for Junction City as we're under 7 minutes to play here in the first half.
And right now, the Dragons, you're facing a 3rd and long. You need another big play from one of your playmakers here, Davis, Taylor, even Frazier. Something good to happen here.
They empty out the backfield. They'll motion Taylor back in behind Frazier, who's in the pistol. They'll fake to him, spins around. Davis catches it and read like a book, nowhere to go. Was able to hold on to it, but nowhere going after that. Tell you what, Chipman, he's been all over the place tonight. Junction City been unable to do anything in the air.
And, Jacob, it sounds like a broken record. They are coming up immediately on that line. They're not hesitating. And they are keying on the big, we could call them, they're keying on the triplets. There's no doubt about it.
4th down and 12. Frazier appeared to be in the shotgun, and Taylor is going to get a false start penalty. That'll bring up 4th down and 17 with 6:02 to play here in the first half. I tell you what, if you're Junction City, you're hoping these next 6 minutes go by quickly. You can get into the halftime and begin to regroup. High snap, Frazier punts it away. Pretty good punt. Wenda fields it, drops it. Ball still on the ground. He'll be wrapped up by Taylor and dropped at the 20-yard line. So good special teams coverage, and that'll be the worst spot they've had the football at Rivercrest tonight. And they'll have it at the 20-yard line, moving right to left here with 5:54 to play in the second quarter.
And right here, you want to see the defense come in and do a 3-and-out. Let's get the ball back. Because Junction City right now is just trying to – the best thing to do is get to halftime, regroup, whatever adjustments you think you need to make or not make, do it, and come back out in this second half ready to play.
Rivercrest to keep it in tight. Deep motion out of the wing T, the pitch man. That goes to, I believe that's Robinson. That's the first time we've seen from him tonight. We were wondering he was a game-time decision. Well, the decision's been made, and he's on the field, and that's a big rush for the Colts. Puts the football across the 35 at the Rivercrest 38-yard line.
And that's what you didn't want to see on first down. Rivercrest, there's no doubt about it, they are totally prepared, and they're settling down too.
Wing T. They give to Wenda. He stops, reverses field, and he is wrapped up. Nice open field tackle right there by Cavante Haynes as Wenda gets across the 40-yard line, just shy of the 41. That'll bring up a second down. We'll call it 7 here with 5:15 to play in the first half.
And what looked like it's fixed to be a big gain, or maybe a 15, 20-yard or more, a great play by Haynes to keep it just to a 3-yard gain.
Yeah, if Haynes doesn't wrap him up, I think it's going to be a lot more than 15 or 20. He may have 6 on that one.
Yes, sir.
Under 5 minutes to play. Second down and 7. Near hash, ball just shy of the 41-yard line. They give to Robinson. And he's met by several Dragons. Javassier Cook, Brock McGugan, Jakyron Cook in on the stop. And so that's just what Junction City needed to put the Colts in a third down. Here, and they had Rivercrest in a third down on their last scoring drive, but it was a little bit of a trickeration with the quarterback out of the backfield that set up the touchdown run just a couple plays later.
You read my mind. I was going to use your favorite word there, triggeration, because look, watch this third down. Watch for a reverse something. They've caught us off guard, or the little pass, I call it flare pass.
Hard count. Brown makes some changes at the offensive line, and
unless he got a timeout call.
He got a timeout call.
Okay.
Here with 4:07 to play in the first half. Timeout on the field, the second for the Colts this half. They lead Junction City 21-6. You're watching Dragon football exclusively on the Dragon Sports Network.
Four minutes, 7 seconds remaining in the first half. Rivercrest 21, Junction City 6. It has been a rough first half for the Dragons, to say the least, but hopefully get some things settled here, get out of this third down and 8 situation, force Rivercrest to punt, and maybe get some more points on the board before half. Rivercrest seems to have settled down. Jacob, we talked about that. You know, getting over the nerves and the stuff that makes the offense uneven or your defense not play well, whatever you want to say. Junction City appears not to have got out of that yet, but hopefully kind of settle down here, especially before the end of the first half, and start playing some Dragon football.
Yeah, no intimidation from the Colts, the state's #1 team. They've out here showing that they do belong. They lead Junction City 21-6. Third down, deep motion. Robinson gets it. Going to be a little trickeration. And throws off his back foot. Pass is incomplete. And so good job on the back end covering guys up. And if you've noticed for Rivercrest, they were running out of some pistol shotgun formations those first couple of drives. They got that 15-point lead. They slowed it down, getting the wing tee, try to just eat some clock here. And so that's why that makes those third downs even a lot bigger. When you find yourself down 15 points.
Because look for them, and especially if they can get one more score, they're going to really slow that offense down and start working on clock.
4 minutes. Nice snap, first punt of the evening by the Colts. And it will bounce at the 29, take a Junction City bounce. It's still rolling, moves up across the 40. And so the Dragons, a big break on the bounce, and they'll have it at the 41-yard line. That ball hit it about the 28, and 13 yards later, it helps Junction City out, and the Dragons have it at the 41, moving left to right.
And that was one of our best offensive plays of the first half right there. I'll take that any day of the week right now. Big opportunity here, Jacob. 3:52 remaining. The Dragons have all 3 timeouts left. Not that that really matters to this offense, that they can get going here and get a score in. It would sure look a lot better going into halftime.
The Colts do get the ball after the intermission. Taylor nowhere to go. He's met by several Colts in the backfield.
And go back to film study. Watch, and when you see the game tomorrow, or if you're watching it now, notice the Colt players, they're trying to strip that ball every play.
And they faked it. Taylor fakes me out. Frazier still carries it. He'll pick up about 7 yards. Up to the 45-yard line.
We have talked about that, or y'all have talked about it all season, to talk about it in the playoffs, the way you carry the ball, the way you handle the ball. They are going after that ball every play. Junction City's definitely got to have some better ball handling, or they're going to have another turnover.
Twins to the right. Frazier takes the snap. Quick throw out over the reach of Davis, in and out of his hands. Pass was a little too high for Jalen to come down with it. And that brings up a quick 4th down for Junction City. They got to be careful here. I mean, if you don't get it, that gives Rivercrest 3 minutes to work with. But like they've done all season, you stick to what's worked. So they're going to go for it here on 4th down. Frazier to work out of the pistol. Ford the up back along the left side. Twins to the right. They're going to need 6 for the first down.
It's either going to be a pooch kick or they're definitely going. I think they're trying. They're going to do something.
I think they're doing some hard counts. And now, Coach Jones wanted a timeout. Kind of got a little lively with the line judge down there on the Dragon sideline. I believe he might have been calling timeout.
I believe you're right.
But he wasn't making the timeout motion. The official wasn't giving it to him. So Junction City calls a timeout. As much as we'd like to say we think they're going to punt, you never know. You don't. They could come back out and run an offensive play here with 3:01 to play in the second quarter. The Dragons, 15-point deficit here in what has amounted to say the least, an ugly first half.
Ugly is putting it mildly. Let me throw a big word at you here. You threw one on me earlier today. Conventional wisdom says that you go ahead and punt here, play your field position. Actually, I know it's 2 words, but wisdom, I didn't count it. Punt and play your field position. But Coach Jones, as Darrell Roll, the old Texas coach, always said, you dance with who brung you. He's rolled the dice on 4th down a bunch this year. He doesn't hesitate to go for 2 all the time. You know, he's probably going to stay with what brought him, what got him here.
And the Dragons, they appear to be going for it. 4th down and 6, 3:01 to play in the first half. Frazier takes the snap, jumps and throws. He's got a man. That's Fisher. He was hit. There's no flag on the play. And
there it is.
The official finally he was looking at the back judge as if he was expecting him to throw the hanky. He finally is able to get it out of his pocket, and the flag on the play. And Fisher was trying to go back to the football. Looked like his right side was kind of brought down by the defenders. That should be a first down for Junction City if it's anything else.
Well, let's be sure, because it took the official a while to throw the flag, and now we got a deep discussion going on.
That's never good.
And that's never good.
So they're going to have to bring the football. I'll say, okay, so no pass interference, but they will get a defensive holding. And so Junction City catches a break. 10 yards on the penalty. That'll put them inside Rivercrest territory at the 45 of the Colts. They'll operate from the far hash with 2:55 to play here in the first half.
I always thought it was a little PI there, but I'll take whatever right here to give the Dragons a first down.
They empty the backfield and whistles again. Junction City apparently going too quickly for some of their offensive players. And that's going to be a false start. So as we've seen so far tonight.
Jake, I'm just curious, do you have updated stats right there on your screen?
Yes, I do. Junction City
total
just
offense
with 76 yards of total offense, and they've had 60 yards in penalties.
Good night, Marie.
Rivercrest just with 3 penalties totaling 29 yards, including that last one, but they just got 5 back on it. Bought the 49-yard line of the Colts, and Taylor nowhere to go. He's wrapped up in the backfield. No push from the front 5. And that's going to bring up a 3rd down for Junction City. They're behind the chains. Excuse me, 2nd down after the back-to-back penalties. 21-6 is our score. Under 2.5 to play first half. Frazier going to keep. And he'll get back to the original line of scrimmage, a pickup of 7. So make 3rd down a little more manageable here for Junction City.
And you really, really need a first down here. Of course, you really, really need points out of this. But more than anything, you at least want to hold on to the ball and get into halftime no worse than 15 down.
Junction City, 44 yards from pay dirt, just 2 minutes to work with. Deep motion out of the backfields. Taylor Frazier keeps it. Ball's on the ground, and I believe that's going to be recovered by Rivercrest. Ball is on the ground, and Frazier fumbles for the second time tonight. And the Colts have it with a minute 53 and a 15-point advantage.
Now you are definitely just trying to survive to get to halftime. You don't want to sound like it's the end of the world or anything like that. It's just that the way this, 76 yards total offense, you got almost that much in penalties. And then no telling how many turnovers this is now. To be down only 15, you're still in real good shape considering all that. But right now, this is a huge defensive stand for the Dragons. You need to see those seniors, especially Gibson, Magoogan, step up.
Winder, the recipient of the handoff in the speed motion. And flag on the play as he's wrapped up and dropped. And another flag comes in from the back judge. And I tell you what, I've noticed this basically from the opening kickoff. It's chippy down there. I don't think either of these bunches like each other. Just the second meeting all time between the two programs. But I think several of those players out there are familiar with how things went last year at the Cotton Patch. And I believe some of the bad bloods carried over into tonight's state championship game.
And I believe you hit it on the nail head because it started at start from the first play. And you remember me mentioning earlier, you got to settle down, get away from the trash talking play. And that's what I was afraid of.
So the penalties are going to offset. Face mask on Junction City, personal foul on the Colts. I'm sure it was some retaliation for the face mask. So with a minute 45, the clock starts here in the second quarter. Junction City trails Rivercrest 21-6. Dragons champions of the 6-3A. The Colts champions of the 3-3A. Both headed in opposite directions in conferences next season. As the fake goes to Winda. Brown still on his feet. And he's wrapped up and finally tossed out of bounds. And that's another big gain on the ground for the Colts.
And they kind of ran it away from the flow, Jacob. Like you said, a huge gain for them. They're catching the Dragons kind of like with that backside pass. They catch them one way, come the other, and it's resulted in big plays for the Colts. And right now, once again, Junction City on their heels.
26 yards on the tote from Brown. And that puts the football at the 23-yard line of Junction City. 1st and 10 for the Colts, far hash. Trips formation. They run a man in motion to that side as well. Brown hit. And he will be dropped as he reaches the 20-yard line. So a gain of 4. Bring up 2nd down and 6 as we have a minute remaining in the first half. Tell you what, the Colts just with one timeout to work with. So if you're Junction City, got to be smart defensively, knowing that they only have one timeout. Try to keep everything in front of you here. Wind of the man in motion, speed sweep. They fake to him. They give back to Franks. He's met at the second level, and he bullies himself forward inside the 15 down to the 13.
Very close to a first down. I believe
that's going to be a first down. So the clock will stop momentarily to reset the chains with 40 seconds to play here in the first half. 21-6 is our score. Dragons down by 15. They fake to Franks. Brown keeps it. Junction City, good job there. Samaje Livingston, Javassier Cook on the tackle. Be a minimal gain, maybe 2 yards. Bring up a 2nd down and 8 for the Colts from the 12. They can get to the 3 for a first down, and Rivercrest burns their final timeout here in the first half with 19 seconds remaining.
I don't believe the coach was happy with that call. He was chewing on the quarterback pretty hard. I was kind of surprised at the call. It was like they were running to set up the field goal instead of, you're going for the kill here, so to speak. Get another touchdown. You get the ball to start the second half, so you would definitely have Junction City in a spot you wouldn't wish on a leopard. I just didn't understand the call. That's what kind of threw me, is why are you trying to run back into the middle? And he come off that sideline animated about it too. If you can make a stop here, keep it in the middle of the, what I'm saying, keep it in the middle of the field or whatever, I don't think they might be able to get another play out. They may be able to. They definitely wouldn't be able to unless they hurried up and spiked it to try a field goal. Because we talked about in the pregame, they have a very good kicking game. So, a field goal here would put you up 3 scores.
So they reset the game clock back to 22 seconds, added 3 seconds to it.
Now, they're spreading the field now, Jacob. All right, here's the snap. Over the middle, touchdown for the Colts. I mean, just like that, a good play by Rivercrest. Give them credit. They ran the inside guy, kind of run a little, I guess you say, fade route, and then kind of hooked it a little bit. And now Junction City definitely in a big hole with 19 seconds remaining. It is 27-6, pending the extra point. And as the snap ball's down, kick is up, and it is true. No, they're saying no good. So a little bit of good news there for the Dragons. The extra point is no good, but still, Junction City finds themselves in the largest deficit they've had all year, 27-6. They're down 3 touchdowns with 19 seconds remaining to the half. And Jacob, Coach Stephen Jones and his staff has got to come up with something at halftime.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure something out. Junction City hasn't done themselves any favor. Hats off to Rivercrest. They came in, they've executed their plan offensively. A little misdirection here and there, a little trickeration with some plays that have worked out in their advantage, but they've been able to keep true to what they do, and they've been able to withstand what Junction City does, going for it on 4th downs and the onside kicks, and they've been able to take advantage of Junction City's put the football on the ground 3 times. They've lost it twice. They've got 8 penalties totaling 60 yards. So, Coach Meeks has said it often, and you don't want to take away anything from what Rivercrest has done here in the first half, but Junction City's done their fair share of beating themselves so far through the first 2 quarters.
And also, let's give the coach credit on this. Also, they settled down and got into their game. And the way they're playing has also kept Junction City from getting into their game. But you're right, the Dragons doing themselves no favors here.
Onside kick, takes a high bounce, fielded, and that ball's on the ground. I believe the Colts are going to come away with it with 18 seconds to play. They have no timeouts to work with, but they'll have an opportunity to try to put some more points on the board before the intermission. To Junction City, for lack of a better word, they were naked on the far side of the field, just 2 guys, high bounce over one, and then the Haynes came in and tried to field it on the jump. It went in and out of his hands, and the Colts come away with it. And they'll have it 1st and 10 from the 42-yard line with just 18 seconds to play here in the first half, and if they work it right, they should have enough time for about 2 plays.
I agree, but 2, maybe get a 3rd play out of it. Let's see what they try to do here. I would suspect they won't hesitate and try to go for the kill immediately.
And they're going to do some trickeration here. I tell you what, the center right here is going to be eligible.
And Junction City's defense is not set at all. Coach Smith very aggravated about something.
And he wants a timeout, so Coach Smith signals Coach Jones to call a timeout, and they'll talk some things over. Tell you what, it's basically a gate look for them. They split everybody out, including linemen, out wide. And the center, the guy snapping the football, is not a guy that you're going to see snapping a football throughout the duration of this game. That's an athlete out there snapping the football. He's an eligible receiver, snaps the football, plays around a little bit, little block, and then boom, he moves out, 5-yard out route, and he's got 6. So very, very well played timeout right there. And if you're Junction City, you've got to have a guy on the snapper if they come back out in that again.
You talk about that snapper, that's the guy that catches Granny taking a dip behind the barn there in the afternoon. You've got to watch for those plays. And the reason you see them line up in something like that, they have caught us already on 2 other plays where they ran reverses, little halfback pass, whatever you want to call it, and it hurt us. I think one went for a score, the other one was a big gainer. So, I can't say it enough. Rivercrest did their homework studying film. There's no doubt about it, and they are giving us everything they can come up with.
14 seconds to play, first half action, 27-6. Big deficit for the Dragons. Man in motion. They fake to him, give to Franks. He's met by Javassier Cook as Frank spins around about and inside the 40 down to the 37-yard line. 4, 3, 2, 1, and that'll do it. 2 quarters in the books here in Little Rock. Timeout on the field. We'll take a break for the halftime intermission. Rivercrest leads the Dragons 27-6. And I tell you what, we'll go ahead and jump into a little halftime show here. For Junction City, it's been ugly. I mean, there's been nothing. There's been nothing. I'd like to say you can pull some positive. There's a positive somewhere. I think the only positive would be that it's a 21-point deficit and not a 28-point deficit.
That would be the only positive I could come up with. I mean, just short of there's nothing else you can say. That's the only good thing. It could be worse than what it is. And that's no knock on the Dragons. It's just they just have not got into their game. Turnovers have hurt them. And the penalties, I mean, my gosh, is one point there you're like, every time the flag got thrown, now what? And it's not like, well, they're getting calls that are not, good or whatever. It's good calls. I mean, I hate to say it. And also, we talked about, both teams the term we used was herky-jerky there in the start. Rivercrest settled down, got their game going, kept us off balance. And, of course, we wasn't helping ourselves none because we were not getting our game going. And now this is where you find, your situation, you find yourself in this situation, 27-6. A Super Bowl coach once said the hardest thing to do in coaching is walk into a locker room at halftime of the Super Bowl and everything you've done all year long is not working. What do you do? Junction City, Coach Stephen Jones, right now they're in that kind of situation. What do you do? And we'll find out here in about 19 minutes and 4 seconds.
That's right. The season comes down to these final 2 quarters, not necessarily because it's do or die, because these are the final 2 quarters of the season. I mean, you're playing for the Class 3A state crown. And, for Junction City, they're going to have to figure something out in the halftime intermission, or this could probably get even uglier than it's been in the first 2 quarters.
Absolutely. And I'll say this, then I'm going to step out a minute and get a shot of water because my throat's starting to work, and then I'll come back and give you a quick break. We're going to bring Mr. Sean Enos in here. And, Sean, I'm going to turn it over to you while you talk with Jacob. You saw what we saw. You heard what we said. What are your thoughts?
Well, there's not a whole lot you can add to that discussion that you guys just had. Wayne quoted an NFL coach. One of the things that made me think of was a quote from Mike Tyson, the boxer, one time, who said everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. So Jacob and Wayne just talked about it. I mean, we took a pretty good shot from them so far. Some of it self-inflicted, but Rivercrest came to play as well. So, I don't know, Jacob. You got 2 quarters to straighten it out.
You're right about that. And to use another boxing term, Junction City, hats off to Rivercrest. I mean, they lead at 27-6 through the first 2 quarters, and they've basically put Junction City on the mat. To use another boxing term, and thank you. And if you're the Dragons, you're going to have to figure something out during the intermission. I tell you what, we'll go over some numbers here for both teams. Rivercrest 10 first downs to just 7 for the Dragons. Junction City's carried it 24 times for 59 yards. The Colts have carried it 22 times for 86 yards. Dragons have completed 5 of 10 passing for 16 yards, and they've also, I believe they've thrown an interception. And then the Colts are 4 of 6 for 88 yards, including that big 39-yard pass in their first drive, and not to mention their last touchdown that made it a 21-point advantage. Leading rusher for the Dragons with 11 carries and 45 yards, and the lone touchdown, Hashima Taylor. And then on the Rivercrest side, leading rusher, the quarterback Brown, he's got 9 carries for 54 yards. And Wenda, the leading receiver, 2 catches, 57 yards. He's got a pair of touchdowns. So for Junction City, I don't necessarily think it's about keying in on 1 or 2 players. It's just a matter of coming out, slowing yourself down, realizing where you're at, and little by little trying to claw your way back into it. Get a stop on 3rd down, put together a good offensive drive, and if you can do that a couple of times, you'll find yourself back in the ball game. But yet it's going to be very difficult for the Dragons to do so, with Rivercrest definitely having all the momentum here at the halftime.
Yeah, we haven't had a rhythm at all. I mean, no big plays really to speak of. It seems like from a football side of things, it looks like they're crashing our edges really hard. Their defensive line's getting back there quickly. Some of the stuff that we like to run out on the perimeter, whether it's a running play or even when we roll out for a pass, there's a guy there always waiting on us. So it's like Wayne said earlier, you don't reinvent yourself at the halftime. You do what you do, but you do it better. And I think we'll all agree that we can go up from where we've been for a half. There's no doubt about that. Come back out here and do what we do and do it better.
You talk about that rhythm. That's been one of the key things offensively for Junction City throughout the entire season is getting in a rhythm. And I was talking to some guys during the pregame on the field, and we were talking about how the Dragons need to cut down on the penalties. They've got 8 for 60 yards, but what I was getting at was it's not necessarily the lost yardage on the penalties that hurts Junction City. When you've got an explosive offense like the Dragons, you can cover 15, 20, 25 yards in a play, no doubt about it. It's the fact that those penalties slow you down. You get out of a rhythm. They have to reset the football, and that's what really kills Junction City, and so far we've seen it here tonight.
And we're playing behind the sticks a lot tonight. I mean, you can't do your normal thing when you're 3rd and long. You just can't. We're going to give Jacob a break here, and Wayne's rejoining us.
Yeah, I had to hopefully get a little bit of water there on the old throat, but pick up on what Jacob and you were talking about when we walked in. It just seems like let's just talk about the offense here. The offense does not seem to be able to get into a rhythm. When one of your best plays was a Rivercrest punt bouncing back 13 yards, it doesn't say a lot about the first half for you. But as negative as all this sounds, yeah, they're down 3 scores, but this offense has shown that it can put points on the board quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's what we were talking about is there's no rhythm so far between the penalties, being behind the sticks, which basically takes you a little bit out of your normal play calling perhaps. We just don't have a rhythm at all. There's no, big plays can give you a rhythm, and grinding out a long drive can give you a rhythm, and we just don't have any of that happening right now. The good news is it's only 21 points, and we can score in a hurry if we get rid of all the penalties and, do what we know how to do. And you were the one who said you don't reinvent yourself at the half. I agree. You go out there and do what you do.
That's it. It's like I was talking about, I believe it was Parcells that said, I'm not sure, but it was a Super Bowl coach talking about you walk in at a halftime and everything you tried has not worked.
Right.
It's what's got you there. What do you do?
Right.
That's when you find out, hey, how good a coach am I? Can I come up with something to get this team rolling?
Well, I would venture to say this has been our worst half on turnovers, our worst half on yardage, our worst half on penalties all season, all in one half.
I would agree. The games I've watched most of them, like I said, been gone. I watched most of them on the broadcast, and by far probably their worst half of ball. You seen what Rivercrest did, what we talked about. To me, it looks like they're really coming up on that line. They're very aggressive, and they're not hesitating to go after. I call them the big 3, the triplets.
Right.
Frazier, Taylor, Davis. As a quarterback yourself and back in the day, what would you do in the second half maybe to combat that? Do you try to go more to a passing game? Dragons are not afraid to throw the ball. They're capable of doing it, no doubt. Or do you stick with the ground attack? Or is there a mixture in there?
Well, when you stepped out, Jacob and I talked about how, to me, they're crashing the edges hard. Every time we run our little mesh play out to the edge, and I told Jacob, whether you are rolling out to throw the ball or whether you're running to the edge, when you get out there and there's a guy waiting on you, it complicates everything, obviously. And they are crashing our ends. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's the defensive line doing it. They're bringing guys up from somewhere. I looked a minute ago, there was a linebacker who just stepped right out there in the path of one of our sweeps. They're bringing anybody they can to the edge to disrupt what we normally do. So the thing that they're down there talking about in the locker room right now is probably something to the effect of, hey, let's work them over in the middle a little bit and see what happens, and then maybe throw the ball, some of our play action type stuff that we do when we throw the ball, because the stuff happening out on the edges so far tonight's not happening. You're either going to have to block it differently, or you're going to have to run the ball or throw the ball some other way.
And that was one thing I brought up with Jacob one time, and we mentioned, I called it a little intermediate pass. You 10 to 18 yarder that, with a guy like, let's go back to Davis, very capable of, making something, breaking it and going the distance.
Right.
Something to make them maybe back off, especially coming over the edges or crashing the edges, as you said, and making them play more of a lack of better words, a basic defense.
Right. Our touchdown drive was a prime example. I mean, they mixed it up really well. We threw a great pass over the middle that looked like it was our second, maybe even third receiver option. There was nobody around the kid when he caught the ball. We mixed it up good, and how did we score? Right up the middle. I mean, I think that's kind of the game plan may be coming back out here. I could be wrong, but we'll see.
Well, we're hoping that it's something, something to that effect that gets us going, because the Dragons need something to happen. They trail at the half, 27-6, and you are watching. I know I say watching, and you're going, no, well, all we can do is hear you. AAA regulations, we are not broadcasting or showing a video of the game yet. We will show it tomorrow. We'll know a little more what time later. And do not forget the trivia question that Jacob asked earlier. I believe it was named the only player in state finals history for Junction City to record a rush, record a reception, an interception, and what else did you say, a tackle? I'm trying to remember what all. But anyway, the bottom line is this. One guy's done it. Give us a name, and you can win a DSN hoodie. And if you're not sure, take a good guess. Think about it. Dragons been, I know, 7 times, counting tonight's 8, but we're talking about one of the previous 7. One player did all that. Actually did a little bit more. Return to punt, return to kick. Who is that guy? You want to take a shot?
Not on the air.
Not on the air.
I'll let the folks at home think about it.
I told Jay he would give me credit. He wouldn't give me credit. I did guess the player. I had to think about it for a while, but it finally narrowed it down. And real quick, while I got a chance, Sean, let me do this real quick.
Okay.
The sponsors of the Dragon Sports Network, the title sponsor for DSN, El Dorado Chemical. Our title sponsor for Junction City Football, Union Kennel and Farm Supply. And let me give a shout out real quick, Mr. Todd Cottrell, EDC, Mr. Ricky Robertson, and Union Kennel. Thank y'all for being involved in all you have done. We greatly appreciate it. Mr. Kevin Payne, the Kevin Payne Foundation. They sponsor our pre, half, and post-game shows. My good friend, Mr. Kevin Payne, thank you for what you do, and thank you for what you do in the Junction City and surrounding communities. STI Sims, Mr. Ken Holmes, shout out to him. Landix Energizing Chemistry. Southern T-Shirt Company, the official apparel sponsor of Dragon Sports Network. I failed to mention him earlier. Miss Marcy, I apologize. Thank y'all for all you do. My good friend, JB, Johnny Brewer, Red Roof Barbecue, official barbecue of the Dragon Sports Network. Hog Wild Pest Control, our kickoff sponsor. Junction City Florist, kickoff sponsor. Kim's Hair Salon. And a shout out to all 3 of the fine people that make that happen. Mr. James Tucker, and I should say 4, Mr. Steve and Miss Sharon Williams, and Miss Kim Phelps at Kim's Hair Salon. Of course, Mr. Steve and Miss Sharon, Junction City Florist. Terminex, Josh Blatcher. I apologize if I get your name wrong, Josh, but thank you for getting on board with us this year. We greatly appreciate it. And this is one that means a lot. In memory of Kevin Norris, from his sister, Miss Jan Norris Pepper. Thank you. She got involved with us right after the first season. In fact, come up to us after the state finals and wanted to know, hey, I want to get involved. And we thank you every year for what you do. It means a lot to us. And I think it's also very special to remember a great Dragon, Kevin Norris. Generations Bank, Ms. Charlene Nelson, thank y'all for getting involved. Your hometown bank, Generations Bank, we thank you for helping with the Dragon Sports Network. Hopefully the Dragons can get a little help, get some things lined out, and get back in this one. It has been a rough first half. They trailed 27-6, but if this team, Sean, has proven one thing, it's no big deal for them to either have a 23-point lead or be down 14 to smack over. They can overcome it. They got the offense to do it.
Correct. Let's not be all negative about this, all right? We can score quickly, we can get in a rhythm, and we can do to them what they did to us in a half. I mean, we all know that. So they're down there talking about how they're going to do that right now, I guarantee you.
And I feel a little confident second. I believe you get in that locker room and you look at each other and say, okay, that's over with. We got one more half to go. We can get it done. And I guarantee you, Stephen Jones, knowing him like I do, Coach Jones and that staff, they're not going to walk in there and say, well, tough luck, guys. No, they're going to have a plan ready, and it may be nothing more than let's go out in the second half and play our game.
Remember the smackover game? It seemed like we couldn't get anything going for the longest time, and then we just flipped the script. So it can be done. We can do it. We've seen it happen.
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and throw this question at you. Pick a Super Bowl champion this year. because everybody I talk to is like, ask me something about the economy or politics or something.
Can I pick one kind of out of the left field a little bit?
Sure.
How about the Minnesota Vikings?
I won't rule the Vikings out at all. I was going to stay with a tried and true one, and I know this is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, but my favorite coach is Bill Belichick. I'm going to stay with the Patriots.
Yeah, well, it's hard to pick against them most of the time for sure. I was just trying to come up with something different because those guys in Minnesota are doing pretty well themselves.
You know, sometimes it's the guys you don't really think, like you said, that kind of little out of left field pick, but they have been playing some solid ball. And I guess the other question, I hadn't had a chance to ask you this, and I know a lot of people I talked to, I've heard the argument back and forth. Do you agree with Alabama being picked for the college football playoffs?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, I do. Here's the thing about that. I mean, one of the best arguments I've heard, and it depends on which argument you adhere to. Some say get the best 4 teams, forget the conferences and so forth. There's a little bit of a compelling argument that people have when they say if you didn't win your conference, you don't belong in there. So I see that side of it a little bit. But if we're going to agree that they're trying to pick the best 4 in the nation, I think they did the right thing this time.
And that's exactly my sentiments, because I was all alone. I said, you got to go with Alabama. Of course, I can't stand the Big Ten Conference, so we won't get into all that. But Arkansas hires a new football coach. Your thoughts on that?
Well, his offense kind of looks familiar to us. Here's something I've told you this year. People don't like talking about this, but to me, the former Razorback coach came in and tried to run an offense that did not match the talent in the state of Arkansas. That's my opinion. The guy coming in here now and the guy that apparently they wanted with their first choice, I think their offenses match what the high schools and the athletes at the high school level are doing in the state of Arkansas and the coaches. So you have your flagship school now is not swimming against the current, against what all the high schools are doing. The talent levels ought to match up, and that ought to help them a lot. I really believe that.
And that could be a good sign for Arkansas high school football in the state when you got a guy that's running offense similar to what the high schools are running. And, of course, Arkansas, you got Coach Kevin Kelly.
Absolutely.
At PA. You got Stephen Jones now doing his thing.
Well,
and
you can actually look at the history of Junction City football and see where a lot of this came from. Think about years ago when we were first competing in the state playoffs and we would play the Harding Academies of the world and some of these teams that threw the ball a lot out of these spread-type formations. And and what did we have to work on to overcome that? Defending the pass, defending some of these Gus Malzahn type principles. Now it seems like everybody's running a Gus Malzahn type of offense. And I just think it matches what the athletes you have available to you in the state of Arkansas, and it's going to be good for the college.
I heard I was with Coach Carpenter one time at one of the Hall of Fame inductions for the high schools coaches and players and officials. And I was listening to some of the, I guess you say, older heads talking, and they were talking about Lavelle Edwards, I believe was the coach at BYU. When he come in there, that changed everything. I think when Gus Malzahn showed up, that changed everything.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily throwing the ball. It's the way they run it out of those formations as well. That's what matches your talent.
Well, that's one thing. And, Sean, we want to thank you for joining us here at halftime
guys.
and helping out.
Hopefully
that was great.
Jacob got him a drink and got to rest for a second.
Yeah, Spielberg bailed me out here because I was needing a Coke now. So we're good to go. We're getting energized. The Dragons are getting energized. And we're fixing to have a better second half than first half.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Go Dragons.
That was Mr. Sean Enos. He was a 2017 Wall of Honor inductee, quarterbacked the Dragons from 1986 to 1988. And was the first quarterback in school history to get the Dragons into the state playoffs. And glad he could help us out. Jacob, you look a little bit more energized now. Are you ready?
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's get this thing going. I mean, there's no reason to be any other way. I mean, this is the for several seniors out there. This is to be the final 24 minutes of their football career. Something they've been doing for their entire life, as long as they can remember. It'll be the last time they get to put on that Dragon uniform. And there's only been a handful of teams. This makes the 8th one that's had the opportunity to take off that Dragon uniform for the final time in War Memorial Stadium. And So definitely, you're down 21, 27-6 is our score. And this is going to sound as cliche as it comes, but what you want to do is you come out here. Rivercrest is going to get the football, and they've got the momentum. Let's be honest with you. They've got the momentum. They've got everything going their way. They're living high on the hog. They're having a great time. State championship. They're in cruise control. They're feeling good about themselves. You got to come out and you got to get a stop. You got to get the football offensively, go down the field and score. And then if you can rinse, wash, and repeat, wash, rinse, and repeat, however it goes, do that a couple of times, you'll find yourself back in the mix. You'll claw yourself back into the ball game, and you'll find yourself with a chance to make something happen at the end of the game like Junction City's been able to do so far during this playoff run. But it doesn't happen if you can't come out and set the tone here early in the third quarter.
That's right. You know, they interviewed Mike Tyson back in his heyday when he was ruling the boxing world, and they said they asked him a question about when you come out, you know, you're going to prepare to face so-and-so, whatever they was talking about. You know, his plans do this, do that. And Mike Tyson said it best. Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Junction City got punched in the mouth. Now, go in halftime, you clean up, you come back. And that's what we talked about. Do you stay with what got you here? Do you change it up? What do you do? We'll find out here in about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And like you said, the big thing coming out, defense has got to be ready to roll because Rivercrest gets the ball to start the second half.
Well, that's exactly what Mr. Sean said while you were gathering yourself and getting that voice back. He used that exact Mike Tyson quote, and then I followed it up by saying, you find yourself on the mat right now. You're on the mat. You got 24 minutes to pick yourself up off the mat, put the gloves back on, strap it back up, and start throwing some more punches and see what can happen. Because at this point, you're down 21. You've got 24 minutes to work with. You've got to find a way to claw back into this ball game and try to make it interesting at the end.
Well, we got some guys, and let me say this because I know folks listening are going, well, they sound like he's being very critical. I'm not. We're just, we're talking about what we see. You got several guys who've got to play with some composure. You got to settle down. You got to, and I know this sounds cliche, you got to play your game. Play what got you to this Friday night in War Memorial Stadium. Like you said, it got chirpy from the get-go out there. Last year, the way the game ended, it was a hard-fought, emotional affair. It turned out to be Coach Carpenter's last game. And you mentioned this, Jake, a lot of those guys have not forgot that. And it seems like both of them came in there with a little bit on their shoulders and started bumping. And next thing you know, the jawing starts. You can see the helmets moving up and down and all that. You got to get away from that and go out and play your game, play your assignments, do what you're supposed to do. If Junction can settle down and do that, that's a big step in the right direction. Got to cut down on penalties. I mean, my goodness, we got a wheelbarrow full of them in the first half. And we definitely have to handle that ball better. In fact, Sean mentioned this earlier in the season. He was watching a couple of games. He texted me. He said, one thing that bothers me, these guys have got to control the ball better, got to handle it better. It reminds me of the old Oklahoma teams in the 70s when you had Thomas Lott and all them running wild and the football out to here, style and profile and all that good stuff. You can't try to start doing that in the state finals. You got to settle down and play your game. And last but not least, offense has got to get rolling. Sean said it during the Kevin Payne Foundation halftime spot. Junction's got to come out and do what they've got to do. If it means grinding the ball out to get settled down, to get the offense flowing, fine. Big plays, like he said, can get the offense flowing. Junction's got the playmakers to do it. So there's a lot of positives. It ain't like, oh, my goodness, this is over with. By no means is it not over with. There's still 24 minutes to go, and this team showed that they could put up a bushel full of points in just a short period of time.
Yeah, the Dragons averaging 47.9, just under 48 points per game this season, and they've only got 6 through 2 quarters tonight. And so they can definitely set the tone here in the third quarter and try to begin to work back that momentum bar that is in favor of that far sideline and those white jerseys here. And it begins on this kickoff. And the second half is underway. 2 quarters remaining in the Class 3A schedule on the season. And Jakyron Cook wraps up the returner just shy of the 50-yard line. So the Colts going to have pretty good field position here to start their first drive of the second half.
And so Junction City's defense, led by Terrell Gibson, he's the school's all-time leading tackler. You ready to see him make some big plays? Brock McGugan, just any of them step up there and make something happen. I don't know, Jake, I may have to go back and re-energize, man. I can't even get my words out.
I formation, offset line for the Colts. They're going to keep it on the ground. Wenda carries. He's behind a couple of blockers, still on his feet, and he's going to muscle his way across the midfield stripe into Dragon territory. And I tell you what, you're going to see a lot of that from Rivercrest tonight. They're going to keep it in, or here in the second half, they're going to keep it in tight. They're going to try to eat away at that clock, knowing they've got a 3-touchdown lead over Junction City.
We talked about that right before half. If they got another score and they ended up getting another score, look for them in the second half to slow things down, let that clock run.
That's exactly what they're doing. Already 30 seconds gone here in the third quarter. Again, same formation. They give it to Franks, the fullback. Plows forward, met at the second level, pushed back. I believe they'll give him forward progression down to the 45. Be a gain of about 2, so to bring up a quick third down for the Colts.
And for the Dragons, let's go back to something we talked about in the pregame when you asked me some of the keys to the game. Win the battle on third down. Well, here we go, 3rd and 3. Need to win this one here because you need to get that offense on the field ASAP.
Under 11 minutes to play, third quarter again. Offset line to the left. I formation, Franks and Wenda. They give to Franks. He's met immediately, nowhere to go, and that's going to be a 4th down coming for the Colts. So we'll see what they elect to do here. If you're Coach Chandler, you just need 4th and about 1.5 yards. It looks like he's going to keep his offense on the field.
That's what I was wondering. Do you play field position here, or do you look at that 4th and 1? So if I get the first down here, I own that ball for at least another 2 minutes.
I think you go for it, and until Junction City's offense proves that they can score more than 6 points against you, you go ahead and put that defense on their heels here and see what happens. And that's what they're going to do. 4th down and 1. 10-10 to play third quarter. Again, they're going to give the Wenda, fumbles the snap. I don't think he got it. I don't think he got it. Jalen Davis was the first guy to meet him in the hole, and the ball's on the ground.
Let's see what
Junction City's saying they've got it, and it's
Dragon
Junction City football.
Dragon football. Okay, there's your first step right there. You ask your defense to come in, do the job. They did it. Who's holding the football up? The shortest guy on the field, Fred Daniels. Now, you've got to build on that. Get the offense on the field. Let's rock and roll. And before we all get excited here, now the officials in a deep discussion, or have they got it settled?
They've signaled Junction City football. On the far side, you've got the Rivercrest coaching staff arguing that he was down forward progression. And if that's the case, it's still Junction City football. They're just trying to argue field position on where the Dragons will start, and that will be at the 48-yard line with 9:58 to go in the third quarter. You start to hear that Junction City crowd trying to get back into it. Frazier out of the shotgun, fakes the snap to Taylor. He throws on the run. He's got Davis. Nice block by Fisher. He's got the sideline down inside the 30. He's pushed out of bounds, stayed on his feet. We'll see where they mark him out, and that's going to be the 24-yard line, and the Dragons are knocking on the door of the purple zone.
Okay, this is what we need to see. Now, get that offense to keep going.
Keep rolling.
And keep rolling. And no pencil to get that rhythm going, what y'all talked about at halftime. Get the rhythm going.
1st and 10 from the 24. They give to Taylor. Over right guard, still on his feet. Muscles his way inside the purple zone down to the 18. And the pile is still moving. And he's finally tossed down after the whistle, I do believe. No flags. But that's a nice, I believe they'll give him 7 yards on the carry. He's inside the 20 down to the 18. Bring up a second down. And we'll call it 4 from the press box, 6 yards from Taylor. And they give to Frazier. He gets the call. He muscles inside the 15, still on his feet, running hard. I tell you what, the seniors in the backfield so far getting it done here on their first drive of the third quarter, running hard. First contact, not enough. Second contact hasn't been enough either. And it's 1st and goal to go from the 9. Taylor, the lead block for Frazier. Jets up the middle, touchdown Junction City. The Dragons have found the end zone with 9:08 to play in the third quarter, and already you're feeling a little bit different about this second half.
What we talked about, get in a rhythm, get in a rhythm, get in a rhythm, and they did it. Now, go for 2 here, no doubt they are.
Yeah, I mean you've made a state record 47 2-point conversions. There's no need to bring the old kicking unit out on the field in this point. 15-point advantage, 27-12 is our score. They line up to go for two. They keep it in tight. Taylor muscles his way in. He got across, and it is successful. And just like that, the deficit has been cut to 13 with 9:08 to play in the third quarter. Timeout on the field. Junction City, they will not go quietly into the night here in Little Rock. 27-14 is our score. Rivercrest still on top. You're watching Dragon football exclusively on the Dragon Sports Network. Like I said earlier, you got to stop, you got to score. Now you got to do it again. You need a stop, and then you need a score. And it's going to start here with the defense once again.
Well, we talked about playmakers. You just saw them all then. Here's another one to throw in there. Mr. Fred Daniels with helping with the big stop, getting the turnover. We talk about the offensive guys, talk about the defensive guys. Make your plays, make something happen. And I can't help but think about that fourth down the Desart went for against y'all toward the end.
I thought the same thing. It looked very reminiscent. Davis meeting Winda in the hole.
Oh, yes.
And, I mean, I tell you, he had a yard. He needed two, but Davis met him immediately, pushed him back, and they didn't allow the whistles to blow the play dead, and Daniel was able to come up with the football. But I tell you what, a nice job by Junction City offensively. They found their weapons. They were able to use their guys, get them involved. They were able to move quickly.
Let me ask you a question real quick. You've been out there, you played this game. Are the officials letting them play a little bit longer?
I think you've got to.
I think you do, too.
There's 2 quarters left in the season. You've got to let them play. Nothing dirty, nothing cheap, but you let them get their money's worth.
That's what I was fixing to say. I like that.
And they're going to kick it to the part of the field where nobody's at. Ball's still on the ground. It's bouncing around. It'll be picked up by Robinson. He'll now reverse field. He's going to have a little traction. He breaks through the hole. He's across the 40, so a nice return by Kentavious Robinson. I tell you what, he was a game-time decision. He's had 2 big plays here for the Colts so far. He had a big play in the first half, and then that return right there when it appeared that if Junction City wasn't going to come away with the football, they were at least going to back the Colts down inside their own territory. But Robinson was able to bail them out, and he's got the Colt offense starting at the 44.
Now you're ready to see the Dragon defense keep that rhythm going, what they had going on the big fourth down stop. Let's see another big play or two. Things are starting to look a lot better now than it did a while ago.
You're starting to feel better about yourself. Both units play off of each other. Hey, you got us a stop, we'll get you 6. Get us another stop, we'll work on getting you 6 more. 8:57 to play third quarter. Again, they'll go off balance. Handoff, Winda. He gets to the second level, still on his feet. Muscling through, that's Robinson. I tell you what, that is one advantage that you have when you go empty, when you go off balance line. You get everybody up, and you've got to account for everybody, and that leaves your second level very thin.
And a good move by the Rivercrest coaching staff to do that. It makes Junction City have to try to readjust, and it's hard to readjust sometimes when you got a different type of player running the ball.
And they give to Robinson again the next level. And I tell you what, Cavante Haynes once again, if he's not able to wrap up and bring Robinson down, he's probably banging his head off the goalpost as we speak. But another big open field tackle from Haynes. But yeah, that's the second straight first down run from Robinson. So the Dragon defense is going to have to buckle down as the Colts have moved the football down to the 31-yard line of Junction City.
Junction City has beefed up the defensive line a little after those 2 plays.
8:15 to play. They fake the Franks. They'll run the option to the left. And Robinson tackled from behind. Who was the first man there? They believe that was Jalen Davis.
And I believe the coach tried to counter that, Jacob. Junction City made a quick adjustment on the defensive line, put a little more beef right up there around the nose guard. And you saw Rivercrest this time, instead of trying to pop the middle, they run the old option to the outside.
Again, off-balance line, 5 linemen to the right of the center. Again, they give to Robinson. He's just weaving his way through there. Really no need to force anything, just hidden behind a blocker here and there, and he's got the football inside the 20 down to the Junction 15. So Rivercrest, they're answering the Dragons.
Got a player down. The Colts do, and I believe that is – I couldn't quite get the number there.
It's going to be not sure on the number. Hopefully that young man's not
too bad.
Not hurt too bad. Hopefully it's just a stinger of some sorts. 7:52 to play in the third quarter. Junction City comes out, gets a stop on 4th down, and they're able to get their offense into the end zone, and they've cut their deficit to 13, but Rivercrest has answered. Big return by Robinson, and then he's been the guy to get it done so far on this drive. 3 rushes of 10 or more yards, and he's got the Colts inside the 20, ball at the 15 along the far hash. And the player shaking up. That's number 54, Daniel Guerrero, senior guard.
And hopefully it's nothing bad. He's okay.
I believe he's trying to walk it out along the far sideline. I'm sure he'll return if he can. 7:32 to play. Clock starts. Again, off balance line, 1st and 10 from the 15. They give to Franks. He's met in the hole, spins out of the tackle, and falls forward for a couple of yards. They'll mark him down at the 12, so a gain of 3. That'll bring up a 2nd down and 7 from the 12.
And no doubt about it, we need a big stop here.
5 minutes gone here in the 3rd quarter. Again, they'll give to Robinson. He bounces around, finds some running room. He picks up a 1st down inside the 5, spotted at the 4. That'll move the chains and give the Colts a goal to go opportunity. And so if you're dragging defense, this isn't what you needed. You needed to come out and get another stop, but so far Rivercrest getting it done, keeping the football away from Junction City, hoping to add 6 more. They give to Robinson, trying to bounce it outside, nowhere to go. Great contain out there on the edge. The Cook brothers, Holiday in there as well. Dante Gibson, several Dragons on the scene. Robinson's brought down for a loss. Backs him up outside of the 5 at about the 5.5, and we're under 6.5 to play here in the 3rd quarter. 2nd down and 5 to go for the Colts. They're going to fake it. Rolls out. Man's wide open. Jamaica Franks, touchdown. Nobody accounted for him out of the backfield. And I tell you what, you run that off-balance eye, that's definitely something you can run out of. And Junction City was unable to pick up the pass catcher out of the backfield, and the lead has made its way back to 19.
And, Jacob, that's the 2nd time I believe they have run that play and ran it to the number 40 there. You called his name. They ran it down here on the other end right before the half. I can't remember for sure. But they have caught us off guard with that twice now.
And the kick is up, and it is good. So with a timeout on the field, 6:13 to play in the 3rd quarter, Rivercrest leads Junction City 34-14. And after all of that, you're able to score, then you give up a score. You've cut your deficit to 20. It was 21, now it's 20. So, I mean, I guess that's a victory. You're clawing your way back into it. Now, granted, you're going to need some more stops defensively.
You're going to need quite a few more if you're going to go that route.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the big thing now, the offense get out there and, get a touchdown back. And the defense, whatever you got to do, that off-balance line, the stuff they're doing out of it, try to come up with something to combat that and give your offense a chance to keep cutting into that lead. There's still plenty of time left. You just need, in Junction City, we said this a million times already, quick striking offense, they can get it done, whether it's on the ground, in the air.
And if you're the Dragon offense, you can't allow your inability to not stop them on defense affect how you play offensively. You've got to keep putting the ball in the end zone, and they'll have another shot to do so here. Corner kick, it'll be fielded by Fisher at the 25. Bouncing around, waiting for a hole to open. He'll get to the sideline. He's got some blockers. Puts on the Jets. He's across midfield, still on his feet, and they're going to whistle him down. Oh, man. I tell you what, he had some running room along that far sideline. Put on the Jets once he got the corner, and they're going to say he was down at the Junction City, or out of bounds at the Junction City 46. One official said he was down at the Rivercrest 44.
That's what I was looking at.
And then he walks back.
Well, it is what it is. You start from the 40. They're going to say the 45, 46-yard line of Junction City. See if we can make something happen.
Frazier out of the shotgun, gives to Taylor, and the ball's dropped. It's on the ground, and hopefully Junction City comes away with it. That's the 4th time they've put the pigskin on the turf tonight. They've lost 2 of them. We'll see if they've lost their 3rd one, and they have not. Junction cannot hold on to the football. miscommunication in the backfield. I don't know if he was unable to get the snap or what. J.D. Winda's shaking up. Officials did call an official timeout, so he'll have to head off the field.
Yep, he's coming off.
So no gain after the fumble. Frazier stumbles in the backfield. He'll be dropped for a loss. I don't know if he'd have kept his feet if he'd have had much room to work with anyway. He'll lose 2. So a quick third down just with the snap of the fingers. It's a third down and long for Junction City. They're behind the chains once again. Under 5.5 to play, third quarter. Dragons going to have to hurry. Not all the time in the world to work with. Find themselves down 20, 34-13. Rivercrest on top of Junction City. Taylor to the right of Frazier. He's going to throw on third down, in and out of the hands of Jalen Davis. Actually, Jalen never got his hands on it. That ball was thrown too high, and it stops the clock with 5:05 to play in the third quarter. And Junction City trailing by 20. You got to think they're going to have to go for it here.
Yeah, they don't really have much choice.
I mean, with the way Rivercrest they're running their offense, they're eating clock. You've got to go for it. Whether you give it to them here, give it to them down the field. They're going to sling it out. Jalen Davis in double coverage, and he's knocked down.
And not a flag, and he started to throw it at one point.
He did, and I believe he's going to say it was an uncatchable football. But the only reason that flag doesn't come out of the pocket is because he did reach for it.
He reached for it and then changed his mind.
And so the pass falls incomplete. Rivercrest will take over at the Junction City 44-yard line. They've got a 20-point lead and all the momentum with 4:58 to play in the third quarter.
Well, if you're ever going to have a 3 and out, it's got to happen now.
If you ever need a turnover, you need it to happen now.
Right.
Junction City, they've turned it over 3 times tonight. Twice on the ground, once in the air. And the Colts, again, they're going to change anything up. Brown will get under center. He's got 5 offensive linemen to the right of the center. They give to Robinson. He bounces in the hole. He's still on his feet. And that's going to be a first down carry for Robinson right out of the gate. 11 is what he picks up, and he's inside the 35 down to the 34-yard line.
And some good hard running by Robertson because it looked like they had him right there at the line of scrimmage. We have a dragon down on the field, and he ends up picking up 11. Jacob, one more time, let's do it, and if we don't get a winner, maybe I have to throw a hint. Your trivia question concerning the state finals.
One player in state finals history for Junction City has recorded a rush, caught a pass, returned a punt, returned a kickoff, and has recorded an interception return, all in the same game. Just one player's done it. Who is he? And what year did he do it?
And if you get it, it's a hoodie if you get it right. I believe we got somebody that says they know who it is.
34-14's our score. Dragons trail it by 20. Again, Rivercrest in no hurry. They give to Franks. He plows forward, running with a couple of guys still on him. He's still on his feet, muscles his way for a first down. He's inside the red zone. Mark him down at the 18. And I tell you what, this is Rivercrest ball game right here. There's nothing you can say, do, or think about it.
No, there's not.
With 4:31 to play in the third quarter.
And nothing fancy they're doing.
No, it's nothing fancy at all.
Nothing fancy they're doing.
You find yourself having to account for all those linemen on one side of the ball, and it's leaving you kind of bare along that second level as they fake to Franks. Brown keeps it. That'll be a gain of about, we'll call it 5. Bring up a second down and 5 from the 13.5.
Yeah, I believe I was waiting on the chain guy there. He finally put down. It's about a 5-yard gain. They need 5 to get the first down here. We need a turnover.
Again, out of the I formation. They're in no hurry. Robinson, he's met in the hole. Really nowhere to go. That's probably the really nothing going right there for Rivercrest on that play. Best play by the Dragon defense so far on these last 2 drives. We're under 3.5 to play. And just like that, that's what Rivercrest is doing. They're just eating that clock. Only 3.5 to play in the third quarter. Junction City, they're going to already down 20. Could potentially go down 4 scores if they can't get a stop here. Again, they give to Franks. He'll work over left guard. He picks up a solid 5 before he's even hit, and that'll be a first down and put the Colts in a goal-to-go opportunity.
Yeah, even a field goal here hurts the Dragons. See, you don't want them to get nothing, and you got to make something happen. And the only thing that gets you out of this, because I feel like if they do end up forcing it to a 4th down, Rivercrest, we talked about their kicking game at the pregame show, they'll hit the field goal here, and now you're down 4 scores.
3:10 remaining. Clock continues to move. 34-14 is our score. Rivercrest trying to add another one. They give to Robinson. Bounces out of a defender in the hole. He's inside the 5, down to the 2. And I tell you what, just looking at that far side of the field in those stands, I don't believe the fine residents of Wilson, Arkansas have sat down here in the second half.
I would second that. They have not. And they've had plenty of reason to stand and holler. I have to give them credit for that.
2nd and goal from the 2. Colts are knocking on the door. They give to Robinson. Tries to go over right guard. He's met by a host of Dragons. Hard to say he picked up a yard, but they're going to give him a yard.
3rd down.
So 3rd and goal to go from the 1. You got to think, I mean, this is 4-down territory. I mean, you're up 20 if you don't get it on 3rd down. I mean, you got to think 7 more is a dagger. You know.
Well, look at
this point, 3 is a dagger.
And look at it like this, Jacob. You got to, if you don't make it, we got to go 99 yards.
That's it. They fake, and
he did not get in.
I believe he reached the football across. His body didn't get in, but he reached it.
There's a signal from the far side. He's saying touchdown.
That's a nice play right there from Brown. He faked to Franks. They've done it 3 or 4 times on this drive of giving it to him. This time he faked it to him, took a couple steps forward, put the football across the white stripe, and it is a 40-14 advantage for Rivercrest. And Chirinos' extra point, that's strongly booted through the uprights and good. Timeout on the field, 1:53 to play in the 3rd quarter. Rivercrest 41, Junction City 14. And if it's going to happen for the Dragons tonight, it's going to have to happen in a hurry.
In a big hurry. I mean, it's the things we talked about in the pregame. When you told me what's the keys to the game here for Junction City to bring that 7th title back to the border town, and everything we talked about that they needed to do and not do, they've either haven't done it or they continue to do it. Penalties, turnovers hurt them. And, sometimes when you go to that well too many times, you fall in it. And Junction City's fell in it tonight. Stuff you get away with, sooner or later it's going to catch up with you. We talked about that. Well, it's happened. I mean, I'm not going to repeat myself, but it's everything I talked about.
And to keep going with your well analogy there at the beginning of the 3rd quarter, somebody threw a rope down, and Junction City was able to grab it and start to pull themselves up, and then the rope snapped. And now the deficit is 27 points here with 1:53 to play. And so, I mean, you're feeling good about yourself. You get a stop on 4th down, you take it down the field, you score quickly. Deficit's cut to 2 scores, and now it's back to 4 scores.
Well,
corner kick. Fisher fields it at the 23-yard line, bounces around. He's going to try to get to that far corner. Spins out of one tackle, still on his feet. Not real sure what he was trying to do, but he moves his way up to the 40-yard line. And that's where the Dragons will have it 1st and 10 along the far hash.
Well, if you're Junction City, without trying to sound too cliches, you keep fighting. You just keep digging in there and you keep fighting, and you don't let up.
You've got 13 minutes and 43 seconds to work with here in your season, and you're down 27. So, again, it's got to happen quickly for you. And it starts on this offensive drive. You got to get yourself together, compose yourself, and, again, just keep scratching and clawing, hoping something good goes your way. Pistol formation, Taylor behind him. They're going to throw. Frazier sprints out. He's going to have to keep it, but he said he's going to throw on the run. He's got a man, throws it out of bounds. He had Fisher. He was behind the coverage. But, again, Frazier trying to throw on the run.
And he had to go on the run immediately. They came hard, and he had to let it go, and you're hoping that somehow or another he could connect, and it didn't happen.
I mean, you got to think maybe he does a better job for him if he just tucks it. He may get 6, 7, 8 yards. Instead, decided to throw. No fault there. But the pass falls incomplete. Bring up a 2nd down and 10. $1:35 to play in the third quarter. They'll work 2 receivers to the weak side of the field. And jump pass. Davis catches it, but he is met immediately.
Good tackle.
I tell you what, that's Chipman.
And
That's Zori Chipman, the senior. I tell you what, he's been all over the field tonight. He's I hate to say it, but he's been in Jalen Davis's back pocket.
Yes, sir.
All night. And Davis, he was able to catch that swing pass out of the backfield, but really nowhere going after he hauled it in. It'll be a gain of 2 yards, bring up a 3rd down and 8. Clock continues to run. We're nearing 60 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Frazier rolls out, really no blocking whatsoever along the front. He stumbles as he tries to set his feet to throw. I tell you what, they got pressure along the right side of the defensive right side, got pressure along the left side of the Dragon line, and
number 60 for Rivercrest was back there immediately. I mean, there was no let up. I mean, he came hard, and when you're trying to set up something deep, you got to have a little bit of time, not a whole lot, but you got to have a little bit of time.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was not there.
Yeah, Junction City getting exposed on
And
the
we weren't
biggest
even
stage.
ready.
They weren't ready here. And on 4th down, Frazier still on his feet, throws it incomplete. He was just trying to make something happen by trying to get it to Ford. And again, miscommunication on the snap. It was snapped while nobody was ready. Taylor and Frazier were both looking toward the sidelines. And you can't erase a 27-point deficit if not everybody's ready to get things going. So Rivercrest, again, the live stats here provided by Mr. Troy Mitchell, the sports information director at Henderson State. I tell you what, if there was I wish we could see the average drive start for Rivercrest. I guarantee you it's inside Dragon territory tonight. They have their worst drive start, I think, has been the 20.
20.
They've only done that once, and I think they might have scored on that drive.
I believe they did.
50 seconds to play, third quarter action. Dragons trailing 41-14. Again, they give to Franks, and he's still on his feet. And I tell you what, if you really want to see a ball game get out of hand,
it's getting out of hand.
Officials are going to have to unswallow their whistle and start blowing it quickly, because there's no way a play should last that long when you got a running back who's 5'4", 113 pounds. He's not going anywhere. He's just being bobbled around in there.
Right.
But you're going to start getting guys that are furious, especially guys in purple jerseys. We've seen that so far this year. It's hard for some of those guys to keep their cool at times, and you'll definitely see a ball game get out of hand if this officiating crew don't find some way to hook it up.
26 seconds left. Now the clock starts running.
This will definitely be the final play of the third quarter. They're going to roll out. They're going to find a guy. He bobbles the football. That's going to be caught by number 33, Dequez Slayton. They've got him listed at 5'11", 190. And I tell you what, unless he's got three pullovers on under that jersey, ain't no way that young man's 190 pounds.
Nah, I don't think he is. Unless that's some of that metric weight or something, I don't think he is.
They may do it different in Mississippi County, as this will be the final play of the third quarter. They give to Robinson, and he muscles his way down inside the 15, and that's what I'm talking about, some late hits going on out there on the field. A couple players getting into it. And that'll do it. 3 quarters in the books, just 12 minutes remaining here in the Class 3A football season. And for 36 minutes, it's been all Rivercrest. They lead Junction City 41-14. We'll step aside for a minute, catch our breath, and we'll bring you the fourth quarter action here at the Class 3A state championship game.
No,
12 minutes remaining in the 2017 Class 3A finals, and we are trying our best to give away a hoodie. A couple of guesses have come in, people have missed. Jacob, I'm going to give them a hint. One hint's all they get. And now I'm going to just throw this hint out there and you have to figure it out. I'm going to say this and I'm through. Woo Pig Suey. Let's see. You're ineligible anyway. So let's just see if anybody can get it. That's the only hint I'll give them, Woo Pig Suey. And real quick before we get back to the game, a shout out to my brother-in-law, the biggin, Mr. Lynn Hayes, 1976 Dragon. I hope you're doing okay, buddy. Thoughts and prayers with you. And hopefully these Dragons can turn it around. Jacob, they need to turn it around fast.
2nd down and 3 to go here as we start the 4th quarter of action. 41-14 is our score. It's been all Rivercrest here in this one. They're 12 minutes away from their 3rd state title in program history. And they hand off to Robinson, and flags on the play. But there's going to be a false start, so that'll help Junction City out. It'll back the Colts up. Should make it about a 2nd down and 8.
So we'll back up and do it again. And folks, to be honest with you, there's not just too much you can say at the moment. It's been a rough night so far for the Dragons, and you hope if there's a miracle finish in there that it's about to take place. They're down 41-14, need a big play on defense here to kind of get things going.
First play of the 4th quarter, They hand off. Give goes to Franks, and he's just bouncing around like a pinball down there, and he's picking up positive yards while he's doing so. He'll get about 6 back. That'll bring up a 3rd down and 2. The ball will be spotted at the 14-yard line of Junction City.
And you're right, Jacob. Just some good hard-nosed running, and you got to wrap up. You got to tackle. And he's just busting right through.
Rivercrest, 44 rushes tonight, 202 yards on the ground. They've got 111 through the air. They're averaging 6 yards per play. And so with something like, with numbers like that, you definitely have the advantage as they break the huddle here with 2, 1, and they won't call timeout. And so that should be, okay, there's the flag coming from the back judge. Luckily, somebody was paying attention to the play clock, and that'll be a delay of game. And so the 3rd and 2 turns into a 3rd and 7. So that helps Junction City here with 11:08 to play in the 4th quarter.
Dragons making a substitution on the line.
And I tell you what, if you're Rivercrest here and you don't get the 1st down, but you're able to keep the clock running, I think you may even go for it just to see how things play out. They give to Robinson on the pitch. He'll try to cut it upfield. He'll gain a couple, but not enough. And so that'll bring up a 4th down, and so we'll see what the Colts decide to do.
I agree with your first statement there. Just go for it.
I mean, because the clock's running, the play clock hadn't started. So, I mean, you're looking at 40 seconds being eaten away, and that's if you don't get the 1st down. You get the 1st down, I mean, that's almost 3.5 more minutes you've got to eat off the clock if you play it right.
And definitely time of possession is everything.
4th down and 4, they won't get it, and nowhere to go. And so,
well, now what we got?
Gibson's running with the football, and now they're finally going to blow the play dead. I tell you what, they're trying to average. I believe one time a man told me the average football play is 7 seconds. Here in the 2nd half, it's been about 14 seconds. They're just letting guys just bounce around, flail on each other, and it's.
Well, that's what I was asking you earlier. They're letting those plays last a little. You got to let them play. I agree. You got to let them play. But I was watching some of this, especially, the play like it's over, and you'd see the pile go sideways and everything. Like, Lord of mercy, blow a whistle, do something.
10-14 to play here in the 4th quarter. Junction City trails at 41-14. It'll be Dragon football. They've got it from the 19-yard line. Far hash, they'll be moving left to right. They've been a quick strike offense all season. They're definitely going to need a quick strike here. They give to Taylor. They'll keep it on the ground. He bullies his way forward across the 25 up to the 27-yard line. He'll be 2 yards shy of the 1st down after that 8-yard tote. And so positive gain for Junction City here on their first drive of the 4th quarter. Again, Taylor gets it, stumbled in the open field. I believe he's going to pick up enough for a 1st down, so that should stop. And that's a That's a bad spot from the far side of the field.
Good grief.
And, okay, so that'll stop the clock to reset the chains. It took them a while to figure that out. So Junction City wanting to move fast. Rivercrest trying to make some changes defensively. They fake to Taylor. Frazier splits between two guys, still on his feet, spins out of one tackle, drags a man across the first down stripe and up to the 40-yard line. So Junction City starting to put something together here, but I tell you what, time is not your friend. We're under 9.5 to play in the fourth quarter.
And one thing, we got linemen, they're just standing there. For crying out loud, hit somebody.
Taylor gets the call. I tell you what, he's moving around pretty good back there. That's another 10-yard carry. That'll be a first down for Junction City. They're across midfield, and that'll keep the chains moving if we can get the. And so we're playing tug of war with the chains
On the far side.
on the far side of the field. It's turned into amateur hour here at War Memorial Stadium. And Frazier, he's wrapped up and dropped for a loss.
And he never had a chance.
And he never had a chance. That's right. I mean, as soon as the ball snapped, you've got 5 offensive linemen turning around going, good luck. Under 9 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. 41-14 is our score. Junction City, several positive plays in a row, and they find themselves backed up behind the chain. Second down and 20. Spot route.
And a flag
on the play. That's going to be a false start. That'll back Junction City up 5 more yards. So now it'll be a second down and 25 for the Dragons.
And while we're waiting on this, we do have a winner on the trivia question.
Oh, do we?
A Steve Spurrier fan got it. Mr. Bubba Gurley said the guy that done all that you're talking about is your classmate, Mr. Alan Turner, and he is correct.
Yes, he did.
And the year was 2008.
Clock continuing to run. We're under 8.5 to play. Frazier on second down and
Great
25.
day in
He's
the
got nowhere to go. He's got nowhere to go, nowhere to throw. Good coverage on the back end, but it really wouldn't matter because that play was dead from the beginning. No blocking up front. I hate to be critical. I do, but
I'm trying to keep from being. I'll be honest with you. That's why you ain't hear me say. I just, we got to have some blocking.
under 8 to play.
You got to have some blocking.
Fourth quarter.
The name of the game is blocking and tackling.
And scoring,
Yes,
hopefully.
yes.
Junction City, Frazier's got it. Appeared to have some running room, still on his feet. He'll pick up about 6 yards, stays in bounds. Clock continues to move, and so that's going to make it fourth down, and we'll call it 23 from here inside the Orville Henry press box.
So you look in the playbook and you look at your 4th and 23 play and you run it.
You dial it up, and you hope you can connect here. With the rate this is going, this might be the football game right here. Frazier, he's going to lay one up the right side, double coverage. Davis, his intended target, and I believe that pass is intercepted. It is. It is intercepted, so it helps Junction City. It puts Rivercrest down at their own 19-yard line, but negatively for the Dragons with just 7:17 to play. The Colts have the football and a 27-point lead.
And let's just call it like it is. You're playing for pride now.
Yes. You're hoping you can get a couple of garbage time scores, make the score look a little bit better than it currently does. But yeah, that's a good point over here in the broadcast booth next to us. Said Davis jumped just a little bit too quickly, and because with his ability, his skill, he can definitely come down with those passes, but unable to do so there. Tip of the hat to the Rivercrest defensive backs on that one. Able to corral the football, and they've got it here with just over 7 minutes to play. Robinson with the carry. He picks up a solid 9. He may have gotten 10 for the first down. Ball comes out. They'll say he's down by contact. And so that'll be a solid
almost 10-yard gain.
Well, I don't know.
I
don't know
can't
if
see
it's
why you don't have a first.
I don't
Yeah,
know if
now
it's
we
a
go.
crapshoot over there or what they're trying to figure out, but
But Larry Moe and Curley did get it figured out. It is a Rivercrest first down.
What people don't understand is while they're sitting there trying to figure out whether they need to stop the clock to move the chains,
the clock's running.
The clock's continuing to move. And Javassier Cook on the stop of Robinson. He'll pick up just about 3.
Wasn't Robertson the one you said that broke his hand week 10?
Broke his arm week 10, and it appears the way the cast is on his arm, you can't really see the true cast. He's wearing a sleeved shirt with just the sleeve on the left arm, and you can tell from about his forearm to his wrist where there's somewhat of a cast. You have to think it may be some type of a hairline fracture. But when they said he was a game-time decision, I don't think anybody was fooled about that.
No.
I mean, the kid's a junior, so he still has another season of high school ball. But this is the biggest stage in the state of Arkansas. You definitely think he was going to come out and give it a go.
That's right. The reason I'm asking you that, to play with any type of injury like that, especially a running back, come back and take the hits he's taking and running as hard as he is, my hat's off to him because he has had about 7 or 8 solid runs tonight.
And they're just going to eat the clock here. 7 to play on the play clock. We're under 5.5 remaining in this one. And nowhere going there. Met immediately several Dragons there. And they're letting them play. They're definitely long on the whistles. Of course, that doesn't help Junction City out, which I've never been one to throw in the towel early, but you're going to need some next level type stuff to happen in order to climb back into this one. Maybe this is where it starts. Rivercrest appears to be punting. Junction City making some changes, getting their punt return unit on the field. Dual returners for the Dragons, Frazier and Davis back deep. Frazier stands at his 30. Davis now switches. He'll move up closer towards the line of scrimmage. And so going to be a corner kick. Bounces at the 32. Fielded by Frazier. Through his hands, and it's recovered by Rivercrest. And that'll just about do it for Moore Memorial Stadium. 4:46 to play, and the Colts have the football at the Junction City 26.
As I said a while ago, you're strictly playing for pride. It's just things you don't do. I mean, you hear coaches talk about it, and I maybe this is old school talking. You got a crowd around, you get away from the ball. You know?
Definitely.
And the young man's trying to make something happen. I'll say this in his defense. He's trying to make something happen.
No, you can't fault the guy.
You can't fault him for trying that, and I'm not going to. But, sometimes it don't work out, and this is what happens. And now you just gave him some more, opportunity to possibly run the clock out.
Definitely. With 4:46 to play, they've got the football at the 19, or excuse me, at the 26. They don't run the clock out. They might even score. Robinson, he carries forward. He'll pick up about 4. Gibson on the stop for Junction City. Under 4.5 to play.
And like you said, Jacob, they have not started 25-second clock, and not that it matters, but this has been going on all night, and it's just, in fact, never did start it.
They still haven't signaled for it to start.
Wow.
And
there
even Rivercrest players are looking back.
Yeah, everybody, even the coach for Rivercrest is coming out and going, what are you guys doing?
Coach, you're 4 minutes away from hoisting the state championship trophy, and he's wondering what's going on.
Yeah, he's wondering what's going on. I'm ready to hoist the trophy, but good gravy, somebody fired the old 25 up
no
here.
No doubt. So, Rob, I'm not sure who called the timeout. I believe it's going to be Rivercrest called the timeout. They lead at 41-14 with 4:04 to play here in the fourth quarter. And I tell you what, it's really been all Colts so far. And when you look at what Junction City's been able to do, which, not to be negative, but it hadn't been much. But the penalties, they've just had 9 penalties for 65 yards. Coming into this one, if you'd have told me, Dragons only going to commit 9 penalties compared to the 19, 18, 16, 19, 21 that they've committed in the playoffs, I'm going to be thinking, shoot, this one will be over with by 3 quarters. That's just by the way it's went. But really, the Dragons haven't had an opportunity to have the football for much here in the second half. And when you're already facing the 8 ball like they were coming out of the halftime break, it definitely played to Rivercrest's advantage as they were able to tighten it in and find a way to get it done.
And well said. I agree wholeheartedly. And for Junction, well, I'll finish my thoughts after this play. Rivercrest still in that unbalanced line, been in it most of the, I guess you say, Jacob, most of the second half.
Yeah, they haven't run a play out of that hasn't been out of that off balance formation. I tell you what, it as we're under 4 minutes to play, it reminds me of the second half my senior year against Bearden, where we come out and we knew what we needed to do, and we got into that fourth quarter and we realized we just wanted to try to eat clock, start picking up 5, 6, 7 yards at a time, wear them down. And that's what they were able to do. And Rivercrest right now, they're just able to eat clock. As we're under 3.5 now to play, they face a 3rd and 1. I believe a first down could all but do it for Junction City. They hand to Robinson. He bounces around in the backfield.
And he got it.
He's got the first down. He's inside the 15. And I believe clock will stop momentarily to reset the chains. And if you're Junction City, you're probably just going to eat your timeouts here. Really no need to.
No, there's not. I mean,
no need to try to burn any timeouts or prolong it any more than it needs to be. 3:22 to play. Clock starts. Dragons trail 41-14.
And I guess best way to sum it up, especially this playoff run, we've kind of done Aerosmith. We've been living on the edge, and tonight we kind of fell over that edge. And it's about the best way I guess you could look at it. And Rivercrest doing about what we figured. They're just going to hit the middle and let the clock run.
Yeah, you knew as soon as they come out of the halftime intermission that, it appeared that Junction City had made a couple of changes. They were able to have some success defensively, stop Rivercrest on 4th down, and was able to end up getting a touchdown. You start feeling real confident about yourself. I know one thing, this press box, this booth in the press box that the DSN is, we was fist pumping and chest bumping and having a good old time because we felt like, hey, we're back in it.
Yeah, well.
But hats off to them. They stayed with what they wanted to do. They got into that heavy formation, overloaded the line to the right side, and they just pounded away. And they give to Robinson. He bounces out. He's got the pylon, and that's going to be 6. 6 more for the Colts with 2:13 to play in the fourth quarter. Their advantage goes to 33. 47-14 is our score.
And just this time they bounced it outside instead of hitting the middle. And we talked about Robertson earlier. He showed a little bit of speed getting around the corner. And now you're just ready to get it over with and head back to the border town.
47-14 is our score. Torreno's home for the extra point attempt. Snap is back. Ball's down. The kick is through and true. And with a timeout on the field, 2:13 remaining in the Class 3A state semifinals. It's all Rivercrest here in the Rock. They lead it 48-14. You're watching Junction City football exclusively on the Dragon Sports Network.
.213 remaining in the Class 3A state finals, and it is not Junction City's night, to say the least. Rivercrest 48, the Dragons 14. Junction never really got off to a good start, and kind of like we said a while ago, been living on the edge for 3 weeks, and tonight, Jacob, we fell over that edge. But despite all that, and people, this is going to be a hard one to swallow, a bitter one to take, however you want to say it. You're still going to finish 13-1. You're going to take some hardware back to the border town. It's not the hardware you want to take back, but you're still going to have to make room in that trophy case for another trophy.
That's right. And when it comes down to it, when you start looking at what Coach Carpenter started building in the early to mid 90s to the point it's at now, where we've called him a native son. We've kind of given him that tag. Coach Jones anyway. As Taylor fields it at about his 7, he'll work toward the Junction City sideline. He's got a blocker in front of him, and he'll step out of bounds at about the 31-yard line. But what I was saying was, when you when you meet in the spring or you get ready for fall practice and you look around the room and you say, okay, these are the guys that are going to have to get it done. This is what we got. This is all we've got. If we're going to get it done this year, we've got to get it done together. And your goal isn't to finish as runner-up in the state. It's to win the state championship. But when you're able to step back and look at it a couple months, maybe even a year or so down the road, you'll be proud of the way you played. And there's 2:06 to play. Let's try to finish it out strong with a little pride here.
And that's what I was talking about a while ago. And you'll see it in the game tomorrow. Those of you that can stomach to watch it, just nothing happening on the offensive line as the clock hits 150. You step back, maybe a couple of years from now, and you go, you know what? We did make it to the finals. We did get there, and I know it's small consolation because I really expected to see us take a W tonight, go back to the border town with a 14-0 record, and it's not going to happen. And I hate it for these young men, and I hate it for our coaching staff that's worked extremely hard. With a new coach coming in, Coach Jones changing up a few things, putting in what he wants to do. I look at it like this: 13-1 his first year is the best record a first-year coach at Junction City's ever had. So hats off to him, and we're looking for even brighter success in the future.
Frazier will keep it on third down. He'll pick up about, we'll call it 7 yards. He gets inside the original line of scrimmage. It'll be a 4th down and 9 for Junction City. 54 seconds, clock ticking on its way. Dragon faithful remain.
I will say that for the most part, the majority has stayed and encouraging them.
Frazier rolls out, throws on the run. He's got a man and out of bounds. I'll tell you what, I believe that's Ford. No, excuse me, Taylon Dixon. I apologize. Taylon Dixon, give him credit. He was tracking the football just a little too far out of bounds. And Junction City turns it over on downs with 30 seconds remaining. And they're just 2 snaps away from this one being in the books here in War Memorial Stadium.
Well, I don't know the way these officials done tonight. One may do it, Jacob.
Yeah. So come to think of it, one may do it. Regardless, not much left in this one. Rivercrest 48, Junction City 14.
And now both coaches, especially Rivercrest, they're pulling out. They're bringing in, letting everybody get a little play in action. Get a little action.
And that the far side of the field definitely pumped up, fired up, man. Rightfully so. They've watched their bunch put on an absolute performance tonight.
Well, the boys at Elrod's Tire Barn Monday will be celebrating.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah, that's on Cortez Kennedy Boulevard.
I'm about to say they'll have the Cortez Kennedy Boulevard. They'll have the parade run right down through the middle of Wilson, Arkansas, and they deserve so.
And rightly so.
Tip of the hat to them. And they're going to take a knee here. And we are under.
That's it.
And I believe that's going to do it. They're not going to try to reset it, make them take another snap. Really no need to, as the Rivercrest Colts start to make their way onto the field. And 10 seconds left in this one. There won't be another snap, folks, as Coach Chandler gets the Gatorade bath here on a cold night in War Memorial.
And that never felt better, Jacob.
Not much fire from the Dragons tonight. Just wasn't their night here in the state championship game. Junction City falls to 13-1. That's a final from War Memorial Stadium. Rivercrest 48, Junction City 14. The Colts are your Class 3A state champions for 2017.
And we'll go ahead just real quick. It's going to be a brief Kevin Payne Foundation post-game show. We're going to find out, I think Junction they'll get the trophy. We're going to stay for that and find out who the Brandon Burlsworth winner is if we can, and then that'll be all for that. While we have a chance, thank you to all our sponsors. Once again, Jacob, if you'll hand me that thing, I'm going to call them all out one more time because without them, we wouldn't do what we get to do, and it means a lot to us to do this. El Dorado Chemical is the title sponsor of Dragon Sports Network. Mr. Todd Cottrell, big thank you to you and El Dorado Chemical for stepping in there. Union Kennel and Farm Supply, Mr. Ricky Robertson My friend, thank you for what you do. Folks, real quick, let me say this. We were not aware they had moved dual state up. It's going to start Monday. They'll play Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Union Kennel Farm Supply is the official title sponsor, presenter of the dual state tournament, the 87th edition. We will show Saturday's contest, so we're going to try to get a crew together to do it. We were prepared for after Christmas, but they moved it up to next week on us, so that kind of caught us off guard. But nonetheless, big thank you to Union Kennel Farm Supply, Three Creeks Baptist Church Student Ministry, STI Sims, Lennox Energizing Chemistry. Southern T-Shirt Company is the official apparel sponsor of the Dragon Sports Network. Red Roof Barbecue, the official barbecue of the Dragon Sports Network. We thank you for what you do. Kevin Payne Foundation does the pre, half, and post-game shows. Hog Wild Pest Control, Junction City Florist, and Kim's Hair Salon are the kickoff sponsors. Terminex and Generations Bank, we thank you. In memory of Kevin Norris is presented by Miss Jan Norris Pepper, his sister. We thank you, Miss Jan, for all that you do. And again, to all our sponsors, a big thank you. We're waiting on the presentation. And I believe this is the Brandon Burlsworth Award coming up. Am I correct, Jacob? So they'll give it to Junction City.
He is a 6'3", 323-pound, two-way lineman, number 67, Noriega Frazier.
Great choice.
And who got it?
And Noriega Frazier is your 2017 Brandon Burlsworth Award winner for Junction City.
Well, that is good to see. We're waiting now for the, I believe they'll do one for Rivercrest and then the team trophies.
And congratulations again to Noriega Frazier for his fight that turns his interest to the Rivercrest side. And presents the award to another two-way lineman. 6'5", 290-pound skater. He is also the father on the Rivercrest goal team, number 56, Dylan Trapp.
And there's the Rivercrest Brandon Burlsworth Award winner.
Receiving the Burlsworth Award. Again, congratulations to him and to Noriega Frazier.
And we're waiting on the team trophy presentation. And here it is.
Congratulations to Coach Jones on 13-1 campaign.
And that'll do it for the Dragon Sports Network at War Memorial Stadium. Again, your final, Rivercrest 48, Junction City 14. And before we conclude the 2017 season, we'd like to say thank you once again to all of our fine sponsors for being on board in the Dragon Sports Network's 5th season, allowing guys like myself, Mr. Wayne, Coach Meeks, even Mr. Bubba Gurley and Craig Jones filling in for us throughout the year. We thank you for tuning in to us and enjoying Junction City football wherever you may be. And for our stat guys, Ricky the Rev Watts, Mr. Chad Rhodes, our main man on the camera, I tell you what, he's done a fine job this year like he does every year, keeping us, one, in line, and two, allowing us everything to be working smoothly. We thank you to Mr. Sean Enos for joining us here in the booth tonight, and for Miss Melissa Pumphrey, who's been the producer for us. You really want to know who keeps us in line, it's definitely her.
And she has a full-time job.
And she does have a full-time job. And for Coach Gary Meeks, our in-house analyst, and for Mr. Wayne Pumphrey, I'm Jacob Pumphrey. And once again, we thank you for joining us as we bring you Junction City football to each and every one of you, wherever you may be. That'll do it for the 2017 season. Catch us next year in August from the Muse as we begin another season of Junction City Dragon football. Once again, we thank you for joining us. Have a great night.